Okay, are we ready? Thank you. Good evening and welcome to our Nampa City Council meeting. We have some fun things we're going to do tonight, so I'm looking forward to it. So thank you all for being here. As we get started, and those that attend on a regular basis know what I'm getting ready to say, and that is we have a tradition here, and that is that we open in prayer, of which I'm very thankful for. So we have the privilege of having Pastor Dan Manchuk, who's the lead pastor at Good News Community Church. Pastor Dan, thank you for joining us this evening, and let's stand as he gets ready
Thank you.
to speak.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for all of you that serve. We're blessed to live in Nampa.
Thank you. I want to pause and say, is his mic on? I'll let you say that one more time after your mic's on.
Do I need to press on?
Push that button. It's not working over here.
Is it green now?
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here tonight, and I thank you all for serving, and we're blessed to live in Nampa. And I was praying on which verse I should begin my prayer tonight from the Bible, and felt led to read out of Philippians 1, 9 through 11. So I'm going to read that and then pray. And this is my prayer, that your love may abound more and more in the knowledge and the depth of insight, so that you may be able to discern what is best and may be pure and blameless for the day of Christ, filled with the fruit of righteousness that comes through Christ Jesus, to the glory and praise of God. So join me in prayer. So, dear Heavenly Father, Almighty God, we know that every good and perfect gift comes from above. Every blessing comes from you, and we acknowledge you in all things. And we want to thank you for our city. We want to thank you for our elected officials, the businesses, the churches, the schools, the families, the individuals that make our city a great place to live. And we acknowledge you in all things. We know that you are the giver of life, and every good thing comes from you. So we bless everyone in our city. We just pray your blessing upon our city. Wherever there is darkness, let it be exposed, that our city may truly be a unity, or a community of unity, where families prosper, where children grow in peace and harmony and safety. So right now we just pray, Lord, we thank you for our civil government, those who bear the sword, and we pray, Lord, that you would just bless. We pray for our civil servants, the police, the first responders, the school teachers, and all those who serve and perform their duties faithfully. We pray for our judges, for our attorneys, for our law enforcement. We pray that they would never neglect or abuse their authority, but at the same time they would stand firm for truth and justice. Keep them safe from harm, and as they serve our communities. We pray for our council meeting today. Give the council members wisdom and guidance as they deliberate on the items before them. May every decision be in righteousness in your sight, for our benefit and for your glory. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Dan.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, let's do roll call.
Rodriguez.
Here.
Chingula. Bills.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Here.
Hammerfield. Griffin.
Here.
All present.
Thank you. So as we look at proposed amendments to the agenda, I'm not aware of any proposed amendments. However, I will say that I remember, our clerk reminded me that the Lake Lowell project that we had discussed at a prior council meeting. We actually had said we were going to bring that back, but we have decided not to. So if there is anyone here thinking that we're going to have a discussion on the formally proposed Lake Lowell project, road widening project, it will not be on the agenda. I would hate to have you sitting here thinking it was. So with that, are there any amendments that the council would like to make or suggestions for amendments to the agenda?
Mayor, I would like to pull 1-8 off of consent.
One eight,
Or its licenses.
the entire thing?
No, I can just do 1.8.0 and then 1.8.BL.
Okay, so BL, did you say?
Yep, B as in boy, BL.
Okay, and then O.
And then O.
Where is that one? We have a lot of these on here.
Lot. It's page 6.
Page 6. Are you saying BO, excuse me?
B,
Because we don't have an O by itself we do
Yeah,
have
we
an
do
O by
that
itself
in the
on
very
page
beginning.
6?
So it was BL on page 6,
Yeah, my L, yeah.
and then
Oh,
is right
oh, excuse me, on page 4, that's the one I was looking for. Okay. Okay, so we are going to remove O and BL off of the consent agenda, and we will discuss those separately. Okay, are there any other requested amendments to the agenda?
Mayor, the item F under 1.6,
16F? Okay, you'd like that moved?
just for a quick
Okay.
couple questions.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, so we have a couple of items that have been moved. So are there any other suggested changes to the agenda? Seeing none, I would stand for a motion to approve the consent agenda with the amendments as noted.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So with that, then we are going to move over to item 2 on the agenda.
the consent agenda.
I'm sorry. Thank you. I would stand, excuse me, I skipped the whole section here. So I would stand for a motion to approve the consent agenda as proposed.
So moved.
again,
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now we will move over to number 2 on the agenda. These are items that were moved from the consent agenda, and we are going to start with item, I'm thinking, let's start with item 16F. This is an action item, and this is to approve the deferral of subdivision improvements, and Daniel, thank you for coming forward, which is a sidewalk for the Basin View subdivision, number 2, until such time as the property is annexed into the city. Councilman Bills, what is your question?
So in the report, Daniel, it talked about that sewer water was 1.5 miles away, but yet it seems like, doesn't this property adjoin a previously developed subdivision that's
So
serviced by the city of Nampa?
City sewer is 1.5 miles away. The sewer system for Britannia Heights is a private sewer system. They have a package system there that's not. City water is adjacent in Britannia Heights, though there is no direct availability to this parcel.
Okay. Thanks for the clarification. So then the deferral is allowing, in the event thereof, other properties get annexed at one day?
Correct. So the property owner has, I don't remember if it's 3 acres or 5 acres, whatever. And he is just doing a split in the county because of he doesn't have a one-time split available, so he has to go through the subdivision process with the county. As part of our joint powers agreement, they send it to us, and he's requested not to put sidewalk in there. As we've looked at that there along McDermott, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have a small section of sidewalk there for an indeterminate length of time. And so rather than waive those requirements, we are requesting approval of a deferral to come due when that property would be annexed into the city.
Okay, appreciate that.
Thank you. Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the deferral of the subdivision improvements for the Basin View subdivision number 2 until such time as the property is annexed into the city. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Pingula.
Yes.
Everfield.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Bills.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
So Section 1.8 is the renewal, just in case anyone wonders. This time of year, there is an annual renewal for our beer, wine, and alcohol licenses. And so they come through in a volume this time of year because they, as I said, they are renewed annually. So what we've done is we've pulled 2 specific ones off. And so Councilwoman Jangula, you have a couple questions. Let's start with O. This is an action item to renew the alcohol license for Dos Caminos Mexican Restaurant at 908 3rd Street South. This is for on-premise beer, wine, and liquor by the drink.
Yep, for the packet, this is on page 379, and at the bottom, it just says, are you a U.S. citizen? It's marked no, but there's no citizen or number given.
Are you, the clerk is going to look something up real quickly. I'm sorry, this would have been good, like in advance, maybe just, it would help her to be able to look that one up. What we could do, these do not expire until what date?
May 31st.
May 31st, okay. So is this an easy answer for you, or is this something we need to defer?
This is something I would prefer to defer, just to make sure that I'm giving the correct answer.
So I would recommend that we defer it. Typically, we don't do action items at our May 16th meeting, but we will defer this one to our May 16th council workshop, because I'm sure we'll have a few that we need to. The 20th, we're going to try to avoid as many as possible.
Okay, because Madam Mayor, this is about half right now, and the other half is probably going to be on the May 20th, so we could put that one if you'd like, but I could also do it on the May 16th.
Why don't you do it on the 16th? So we'll do that one on the 16th. And then your question on the other one, if it isn't something that we can answer very quickly, then, and this is on,
Page 432 in the packet.
thank you.
It's going to be similar. It just didn't have marked whether or not they were a U.S. citizen or not. So, same thing.
Okay, so we'll defer both of these to the May 16th council workshop meeting. I think, and thank you for being so thorough. Councilwoman Jangula, I so appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah.
So on the May 20th meeting, we have a very long agenda that night. So what I might ask us to do is if we have any questions regarding these licenses, let's get them to the clerk if you can even. Wow. So what doesn't get done on the 20th cannot be deferred or they'll miss their license renewal date. So we'll try to get, we'll need to get those, and then it'll give you something extra to look for on those. Have your staff go through there.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, so those will be deferred. Perfect. And I think that's all that we had moved forward. So now we're going to move on. We have 3 proclamations this evening. And so we're going to start with our first proclamation. This is the order. I'm just going to do them in the order that they're in front of me. The first one is Shar. The next one after that is Crystal. And then last one is Apraxia. So,
Are we doing a different order?
well,
The agenda has it.
oh, excuse me, agenda has Apraxia. Okay, we'll do that one first. Thank you for keeping me aligned. So we're going to start with the Apraxia proclamation. And as I read the proclamation, I think I'll have Anita come forward and just, I'll hand this proclamation to you when I'm done, and then I'll let you say just a word or two if you'd like to. So very short. But May 14th, 2024 marks Childhood Apraxia of Speech Day, during which awareness will be raised throughout the city of Nampa about childhood apraxia of speech, an extremely challenging speech disorder that affects about 1 in 1,000 children. And whereas childhood apraxia of speech causes children to have significant difficulty learning to speak, which is among the most severe speech deficits in children. And whereas the act of learning to speak comes effortlessly to most children, those with apraxia require early, appropriate, and intensive speech therapy, often for many years, to learn to speak. Whereas appropriate speech therapy intervention, without it, children with apraxia will have diminished communication skills, but are also placed at high risk for secondary impacts in reading, writing, spelling, and other school-related skills. And whereas that such primary and secondary impacts diminish future independence and employment opportunities and challenge the ability to become productive, contributing citizens if not resolved or improved. And whereas public awareness about childhood apraxia of speech in the city of Nampa is essential for families of children with this neurological disorder and the professionals who support them to achieve the needed services for those learning to use their own voice. Now, therefore, I, Debbie Klingmeyer, the City of Nampa, Idaho, do hereby proclaim May 14th in the City of Nampa as Apraxia Awareness Day. The citizens of Nampa and surrounding areas are encouraged to work within their communities to increase awareness and understanding of childhood apraxia of speech. Anita, come on forward if you would. And thank you. I'll give this to you real quickly. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for raising the awareness of apraxia. So I think Amy's going to do a photo. Okay, there we go. Thank you. As Anita goes, so I have a grandson that dealt with apraxia. I don't see the effects a lot today, who is now 13, but he did have early intervention and awareness, and I think that makes all the difference in the world.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
Thank you for raising the awareness.
Well, thank you so much for accepting my email and writing the proclamation for us. It has, to have Nampa recognize it as May 14th as Apraxia Awareness is not only emotional, but vital to our community, vital to our school district, and the doctors and the service members that are around, and not just for those of us maybe that's impacted, like you and I, very much so in our day-to-day life. And whereas my daughter now, she was diagnosed at 2 years old, and now she can speak, and really most people don't even really realize that it's there. However, it is called childhood apraxia of speech, but it's actually a neurological disorder. So it's not something that can be cured or anything, and the only way is really to work hard on it and get through it. But to have our service members, firefighters, police officers, just the general public, to be aware of it and know that maybe a child comes up to you and they look at you and they're not really sure. They might understand everything that you're saying. They just maybe not be able to say it back to you. So I encourage everyone here in the back, grab some bracelets I brought. They does have the official Apraxia website on there where you can learn more information on it, find out what you can do in your community, or friends and family, get the word out there, doctors, anybody. Really, we just need to raise more awareness for it and know that early intervention is key, getting your child the help that they need so that they can be vital members in our society and really get out there and do everything that they dream of. So thank you so very much. Appreciate this.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so our next one is, let's see, National Public Works Week. So Crystal, you can come on forward as I share this. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of the city of Nampa. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector. And whereas the public works professionals are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for civic leaders and citizens of all ages in the city of Nampa to gain knowledge of and to maintain an interest in and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the city of Nampa is the largest full-service city in the state of Idaho, And whereas the year 2024 marks the 64th annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association and the Canadian Public Works Association. Now therefore, I, Debbie Kling, Mayor of the City of Nampa, Idaho, do hereby proclaim May 19th through the 25th, 2024 as National Public Works Week. And I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting health, safety, and quality of life. Crystal, thank you for being here, and I'll let you share a couple words. But thank you for all you do. I'll do it this way. We're blessed to have you here. Thank you. We have an amazing public works team, of which I'm extremely thankful for.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I will parrot that as well. This event is something that our entire team looks forward to all year. It's just an amazing experience. Gives us an opportunity to showcase and highlight some of the truly amazing things that public work professionals do, and to gain support of the younger community and potentially get some more Nampa, City and Nampa employees in our ranks in the future. So thank you.
Absolutely. We need more engineers and actually everyone at every level. Without Public Works and all the employees we have, our city doesn't function. They are truly the foundation. And so thank you for the hard work.
Thank you.
Dedication. Thank you. So our last proclamation tonight, it is Municipal Clerks Week. Good for you. Okay, so whereas the Office of the Professional Municipal Clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world. And whereas the Office of Professional Municipal Clerk is the oldest among public servants. Whereas the Office of the Professional Municipal Clerk, I think I'm going to say this several times in here, it's in every sentence. They provide a professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels. And whereas the professional municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. And whereas the professional municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community. They continue to strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the Office of Professional Municipal Clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and annual meetings of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations. And whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the Office of the Professional Municipal Clerk. Now, therefore, I, Debbie Kling, Mayor of the City of Nampa, Idaho, do hereby proclaim May 5th through the 11th, 2024, in the City of Nampa as Professional Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend our appreciation to our clerks and to all professional municipal clerks for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. Good job. Okay, stand up. Here we go. Yeah. Thank you for all you do. Would you like to make a comment?
Mayor, I will be brief because we do have a lot of people in the audience. I do want to state that as the city's official record keeper, sometimes we are not the most popular people in the room, but we do feel very valued by everyone in the city. So we do appreciate that.
You keep me in line. It's important. Oh, thank you. Okay, so this next section, let me see, we got through proclamations. So this next section, it is the time where we have people that want to speak on an agenda or non-agenda item, but we have 3 different items we're going to cover this evening before we do that. And we're going to start with Chief Huff. Would you like to come and introduce our new lieutenant?
Thank you and good evening. I just wanted to take a minute to introduce our new lieutenant. Some of you know him as Sergeant Brad Childers, yesterday was his first day as lieutenant, so I wanted you all to be familiar with who he is and what he's going to do. So he'll be the day shift lieutenant, so he'll be working pretty much a Monday through Thursday shift 1 week and then a Tuesday through Friday, but he'll be day shift, so you'll see him a lot more. You haven't seen him for the last 6 or 7 years because he's been on night shift. So anyway, I'll just let him introduce himself and kind of what he's got to say.
Hello again, Mayor. Thank you guys for your time. Look forward to hopefully next couple of years working underneath the sun and seeing what that's like instead of the darkness over the city. Very familiar faces up here. Been in Nampa, Idaho for a long time. My wife was a teacher here while you were in middle school, sir. Wasn't that long ago. But I do look forward to serving this community just in a different capacity now as lieutenant. So thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Well, welcome to the daytime. I think earlier you said you actually like the night shift.
Yeah, I do enjoy it. But
That is amazing. Good for you. Any questions, comments? I tell you what, congratulations. I am so glad that you are where you are. Thank you for joining Nampa PD. How many years ago?
in 2014, I worked for the Cannon County Sheriff's Office prior to that.
So 10 years now.
Yes.
So that's wonderful. Well,
Yes.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. John Nielsen, I'm putting you on the spot. I'd love to have you come forward, if you would. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce John Nielsen. John's first day on the job is today, and he has joined us as our Director of Building and Code. So welcome. Would you like to, I'm sorry I did not warn you. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. My name's John Nielsen. I've raised my family here in Nampa. Been married for 26 years, and my kids were here, graduated Columbia. So, our roots are here. I spent almost 20 years with the state. I ran the HVAC and plumbing programs, and I was also executive officer for 5 of the governor's boards. So I'm thankful for the opportunity to come here, serve the city I love, and look forward to working with council members, mayor, public, anything they need building-wise. So.
Thank you. Welcome. We're glad to have you.
I have a
Welcome.
question.
Yes.
If you don't mind. So tell me, last Friday, how many balls did Peter lose on the golf course?
In all fairness, Councilman, I lost more than he did.
Good recovery.
Yeah, good one.
Good recovery, yes.
Awesome. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And the next item that we have is we have a certificate of completion for our mayor's team council members. I'm going to run down front, and we would like, why don't all the mayor's team council come and line up on this side, maybe in that alphabetical order, kind of, if you can. I'm not sure how Jonica's doing it, and I'll be right there.
Group photo at the end.
Yeah, maybe we'll do it at the end. Okay, here we go. Do you want me to be on, since it's on this side, we had a plan, but shall we just switch? This will be easier. Okay. So as you come forward, Jonica's going to give you your certificate, and we'll get a picture with you real quickly. And yeah. So would you like to share real quickly? So I should explain what we're doing here. Excuse me, jumping to the action here. So the Mayor's Teen Council is I'm going to say it's a function that has been in the city for I don't know how many years, long before me. The Association of Idaho Cities has youth councils all across the state of Idaho. And it's been a wonderful privilege to each year work with a different group of students. We have a curriculum that takes place throughout the year where they get exposed to city, business, legislative, and community opportunities to get back in the community. And so we have just an amazing group of students. And I just want to say, Jonica, thank you. Jonica is our citizen support specialist, but she oversees the Mayor's Teen Council also and does an amazing job. So thank you. Okay, here we go.
So first we have Elena Castaneda. Plus, I did not practice last names. I'm going to come right over here right there.
Okay. I'll give you this. I'm going to take your picture.
There we go.
Okay.
I think we got it. Thank you.
And then Anna Castaneda. How do you say it?
Castaneda. There we go.
Come on up.
Let's get this. You're going to have to speak right into that microphone.
I'm going to go right over here.
Congratulations. We'll do a quick photo. You're good at that.
Okay, and then we have Nicole. How do you say your last name? Say that again.
Dumitrașcu.
Okay. Well,
And let's say
there
that in
you
the
go.
microphone. Can you say it one more time?
Dumitrașcu.
We go by. We're on a first name basis.
Nicole.
I don't pay any attention to their last
What is
names.
that nationality?
It's Romanian.
Romanian. And so how long has your family been here?
They moved here in 2001.
That is so cool.
Yep.
How neat. Okay. Do you want to be in?
It's okay.
Congratulations.
And Anna Hambley. I can say your last name.
Glad you're a part. Thank you.
Brianna Hills.
Congratulations.
We're doing a group photo at the end.
We'll try to. We'll have to be fast.
Avery
Okay.
Jessen.
Avery has served as the chair, and a number of these were on the executive committee, as the chair the last 2 years and is only a junior. So stepping into her senior year this next year. Oh, we've got to have them tell what school they're in, but okay, sorry, I goofed. Okay.
Chloe Knight. And Andrea Larson.
You're welcome. Okay, group photo. You know what? It's inspiring getting to be with all you guys. And none of the guys are here. Ladies, I should say, what do you want to do? You can be right in front. There you go. This gives me hope in a future. This is our hope in our future. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. I forgot to announce the schools they were in. Neat group of kids. Okay, do we have people signed up to speak this evening?
Madam Mayor, we do. We have, I believe, 4 people signed up to speak on non-agenda items, and our first speaker is Josh Powell.
So Josh, as you come forward, please give your name and address, and then you'll have 3 minutes.
Josh Powell, my address is 17634 Monarch Way, and I'm happy to be seeing the youth council. I did the youth council as a high schooler.
That's great.
But I don't think I've spoken in a city council since I did my merit badge for the citizenship in the community merit badge. So It's good to be back here. I'm a local entrepreneur. I'm going to read because I'm long-winded and I like to talk. I'm a local entrepreneur and an Idaho native. And behind me I have my wife, Reagan, and our 3 girls, as well as some business partners, Landon Hagberg and Clinton Betsy Keller. For the past year, it's been our mission to bring a donut shop to Nampa. You may not know that out of this big city, we don't have a donut shop. We have been in the process of receiving an occupancy permit for a repurposed section of a warehouse on Kings Road near the Metal Sports Complex. A space that previously received occupancy approval for a food business. We were initially informed by the building department that the conversion process would be simple, essentially updating the name of the renter. From the time that we submitted our application for occupancy until today, we've waded through the process of additional requirements from the building department, encompassing what's felt like building a completely new building, particularly associated with the installation of a new hood vent to be placed over our donut machine. Understandably, the building department is responsible for ensuring the safety of buildings in Nampa. And I'd also like to recognize we see Michael Underwood is from the building department, who's been very helpful in chatting with us over the last handful of weeks. That being said, we've made every effort for the safety and comfort of those who will work and patron our shop, despite the continued struggle to comply with national building codes. As a small business, we don't have unlimited budgets and timelines, like many of the large out-of-state food businesses that are coming to town. We're local citizens. We donate time and money to local schools and organizations. We take interest in the development of Nampa's youth and also feel entitled to opportunities to provide for our own family. We're seeking direction in reaching approval for our business, as well as voicing the difficulties that other small business owners and potential small business owners have had in receiving approvals. It was a pleasure getting to know each of you through your bios online, and I'm ecstatic to see a council full of Idaho lovers committed to the growth of the citizens and youth. And thank you to Councilman Griffin for introducing us to the opportunity to present in this format. And we're grateful for the opportunity to voice our struggles to the council. So thank you.
Josh, thank you so much for coming this evening. Thank you for sharing. So, John, hi, welcome. You'll have the opportunity to follow up and actually have a discussion about it. I look forward to hearing about it and whatever that struggle is. We appreciate you being here. Thank you for what you do at the Metal Sports Center. That is extremely important. It's very important to our community. It's important to our families, to kids' lives, right? And so thank you for your investment and your work there. And I appreciate hearing it, and we will follow up with you. Thank you for coming tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Can I ask you a quick question? Can you come back up to the...
Yep,
So
definitely.
Are the issues you're having is with the change of use, or is it with the level of improvements that you're being asked to make?
The level of improvements. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Time frame.
Okay. How long have you been working, real quickly, how long have you been working on that process?
We've been working on it for over a year.
For a full year since the other
Since
company
putting in,
vacated?
since the other business left. Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
April of last year is when you started the process.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Madam Mayor, our next speaker is Sarah Hansen.
Madam Mayor, may I pass these out?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to say my husband also signed up to say, or to talk, but he wants to defer his time to me, so I have extra, if that's okay.
We don't defer time on this
Okay.
particular item, so it is 3 minutes.
Okay, so you'll.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm here today about.
And your name and address.
Oh, my
Thank
name
you.
is Sarah Hansen, and my address is 12860 Venezia Court, Nampa, Idaho.
Okay.
And I'm here today because I live very close to the Midway Park.
Could I have you pull your mic down just a, there you go, thank
Okay.
you.
And last winter, we started noticing there's becoming a problem with a lot of homeless people living there all day. So it's becoming a homeless day camp. And some of the problems, you know, we'd call Canyon County, and Canyon County says it's not their jurisdiction because it's private property. So we'd call Nampa Police. It's not their jurisdiction because it's out of the county, or it's not in the city. So nobody has any jurisdiction. Come to find out, it hasn't been patrolled in 7 years. That's part of the problem, is there's no, I guess, security or police that even come through there. In the last month, they have started kind of coming through there a little more, because after I corresponded with the city, and I put the correspondence with the city in the packet, and also pictures of people sleeping in the pickleball courts. And like I took the picture today of the lady that was there from 8 in the morning till 4 o'clock, just sitting in her car all day. And usually there's 4 or 5 cars every day. And it's building up, it seems like, the more that I think they talk to each other. They know that nobody kicks them out of there. The city says their hands are tied. Nobody has jurisdiction over it. And we're trying to figure out what we need to do, because to me, it's a kids' park, and the safety of the kids is the most important thing. A lot of these older gentlemen that sit in their cars all day sit in front of the bathrooms and just watch the kids, and it's creepy. And they're, like I said, they're there hours and hours and hours. Some of them put towels up in their windows so that you can't really see that they're in there. And so we're trying to figure it out. Another issue that we're having is there's absolutely no lights at night. I mean, there's no lights in that park. And it's really dark. And I've seen what looks like drug deals go down. They've had car meets show up in the middle of the night. And it just seems like nobody wants to do anything. And I'm afraid this park is going to just become a trash heap. We've even had people dump furniture out there because it's late at night and it's dark. Nobody can see them. There's been campers sleeping there at night, and we have called on those. Like I said, every time we've ever talked, if I've talked to a police officer, they've been on my side, but their hands are tied. They're like, one car didn't even have registration, and they had to just, you know, encourage him to move along. But they couldn't do anything because no one has jurisdiction over this park. And I think it's a problem. You guys are spending a lot of money trying to make a nice park. We need to keep it nice. We don't need it to turn into the Midway Homeless Park. And like I said, I have lots of pictures. And so that's kind of what we're here for, to find out. There's no rules even posted in that park. It's been 7 years, and they don't even have rules of leash your dog. There's nothing. There is nothing. So, and the city said it would take like months to get it through their thing to put the rules up, any rules. And it's like, it's been there 7 years now. I think we should have rules, some kind of rules. Maybe no loitering, you know, leash your dog. So that's why I'm here.
Sarah, first of all, thank you for coming forward. Thank you for the work that you put into all your photos. Just so that we can, I can respond to one element of this, and that is we've had recent discussions regarding no parking overnight. Those signs are in the process of being made actually today. I think we paused them on a couple language issues. They were being printed today for all of our parks. That park included will be clearly posted so that we can enforce it, because there is no overnight parking allowed. Thank you, though, for mentioning your concerns during the day. We will actually follow up on that. And Deputy Chief, would you like to come forward, or do you want to speak to it, or I'll let you come forward, just because I think it's good for us all to hear. Sarah, thank you. Just so you know, I really appreciate it, and we are on the posting in our parks. We agree with you. That's not what we want it to become. We want it to be a safe, clean place. So thank you for coming forward, and I'll let Deputy Schenkel talk for just a minute.
So
Deputy Chief,
Mayor,
I should
Council,
say.
That's okay.
Get it right.
Hopefully this will be resolved soon. We are currently working with the Canyon County Sheriff's Office to work on a MOU, an agreement. It's being reviewed now with legal and county's legal that would allow us jurisdiction, basically, to go out and handle these issues that are occurring in the park. And So you would be able to call Nampa Police, and we would respond and be able to act appropriately in those cases. So hopefully that will be resolved here soon, and then hopefully that will help you out a lot.
And the signs will be going up very soon, too. So both of these discussions have been taking place, but thank you. I just want you to know and others to know that the discussions are taking place, the action is taking place, and we will get it resolved.
Right, we just want to keep it a nice, I mean, it's a nice park, but we want to keep it a nice, safe park for our kids.
Thank you for caring. Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you, Kurt.
Mayor, really
Yes.
quickly, Deputy Schenkel, how much does the Ninth Circuit ruling, how much does that play into effect on your guys' ability to actually enforce?
We're still able to enforce the after hours in the park and parking and things like that. So far, the way our ordinance is written, we have not ran into an issue.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay. Isn't that in the city limits?
So Councilman Haverfield, Mayor, no, that is actually Canyon County. It is not annexed into the city. I believe it's in our impact zone, but it is not city limits. So we have to have an agreement with Canyon County for us to go out and enforce.
For some reason, I thought that when we worked on Midway Park, that it was annexed into the city. But if that's not the case, then I think it's city property. So how can we not have it in our city limits?
Has to do with the path to annexation.
Yeah,
Yes, Robin.
exactly. It has to be contiguous and not contiguous.
David, do you remember that? I thought we were.
I thought we had made provision to, in the trade and everything that we did, I thought we had. So I'm sitting here trying to remember and think through the issues as well. So it surprises me that we're there and 7 years later we didn't have an MOU. And all
You
of
have
that.
two council members that agree that we thought that it was in the city limits, so it comes as a bit of a surprise.
So hopefully those soon, we will have it addressed and Nampa Police will be able to handle.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you. So as you know, annexations there has to be a path to annexation, and unfortunately, that property does not have a path to annexation. Rodney, would you like to make comment to that?
Yeah, Mayor, again, that's a state law that's required it be contiguous. So we have to be contiguous, and once that happens, we will annex the park into the city.
So
Thank you.
I need a clarification, Mayor.
Okay.
Rodney, so going up Smith Avenue, where we have the dog park coming online, we're not able to annex up Smith Avenue and touch Midway Park?
Mayor and council, I'll put this on the screen just so you can see where our city boundaries are right now.
Councilman Bills, just to address your question, if we can't use right-of-way as an annexation path, that's considered a shoestring annexation, and the state will not recognize it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on to our next. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Mayor, do you want me to show this?
Oh, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, there's where the park is currently. And as you can see, these are the colored areas here are where the city is annexed up to. So likely path of annexation is to the north, if that occurs, or to the southeast. So we've got a little bit of ways to go, but could be done with the one large project.
Any further questions?
I have a question, Mayor. So in the meantime, while we're working on that MOU, Chief Schenkel, who should the citizens or concerns be directed to? Should it be Nampa Police? Should it be the Sheriff's Office, rather than getting the runaround for them?
Right, so once the MOU is in place, it would be, Councilman Griffin, Mayor, once the MOU is in place, it would be Nampa Police that would take those calls. If you call 911 or you call your dispatch for where you live, Canyon County will most likely get those calls. What they will do is transfer them to us to speak with our dispatch center, and we would dispatch an officer to handle that.
So even in this pending period, just directed towards Nampa Police for the meantime?
That is correct.
Okay.
And if we need assistance, we would reach out to Canyon County to help us on a call.
Thank you.
And I would say anytime there's a complaint, if you would reach out to the mayor's office on anything, we actually very quickly bring resolution to it. And so I just hope, whether it be a building issue or whether it be that, please reach out to the mayor's office, and we will absolutely work to get resolution with our various departments. So, thank you. Okay.
Madam Mayor, I would like to ask if Carrie Hansen would still like to speak.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Good evening.
My name's Kerry Hansen. I live at 12860 Venezia Court, Nampa, Idaho. Thank you for allowing us to speak about this matter of the park. One of the things that we've ran into, as my wife has mentioned, is that each time we've called, we've had a little bit of a different response from the officers. We would like it, if possible, to make it so that it's not a citizen-only issue, so that there might be some patrol that would go through there on a regular basis, part of the Nampa Police Department or Canyon County or whoever, so that it isn't only policed by the citizens. That's one of the things that we found is the only time that they come out there, well, I mean, that we're aware of, is when we make a or bring it to their attention. We would like that to be part of the agenda and see if we might be able to get something like that going on. We appreciate you have already looked into the sign issue. That was one of the things something that would be posted it, and we appreciate the Nampa Police for their efforts in trying to work with Canyon County, trying to resolve the issue of who's responsible for the patrolling of the park, and since it hasn't been annexed into the city. I don't really have anything else. Thank you very much, Mayor and City Council, for taking this time and listening to our issue.
Mayor,
Thank you. Yes.
can I ask you a question, please?
Yes.
Sir? It was mentioned earlier that lighting is an issue.
Yes.
There's been a significant improvement as far as on the property with surface parking. Is there inadequate lighting for that surface parking?
Correct. There isn't any lighting on the surface parking. Maybe over by the pickleball courts, but we live along Smith, and and that's where all the improvement has been, is along Smith, and there isn't any lighting whatsoever on that section, and I don't believe either on the other section either, where the playground or the pickleball courts are, or any of the even I don't think that there's any lighting over the baseball diamonds or any of that area.
About the pavilion and in those buildings, are they?
The restroom area, I believe that there is lights around the restroom area.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And Mayor, can I make a comment just about that? Because when I initially had come in for city council, I had brought it up, not in this sense of safety, but more because I enjoy pickleball late at night. And they said there was an issue with the county that the neighbors didn't want the lighting, and then the county, they were moving into their third phase. I don't know what the status was in that third phase, that they were looking to get lighting, so that might be something that they're working on right now. But last that I heard, no lighting was permitted from the county.
We will have that discussion. So thank you so much. I've made note of it. And then also making note that the key decision makers on the policing side are sitting in this room, have listened to your suggestions, and so duly heard. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, our next speaker is Clint Keller.
I'm Clint Keller, 3700 East Manowar Drive. First of all, just thank you for giving me 3 minutes and for receiving Josh so well in his situation. I am just here to plead again, but it sounds like we're going to work on that and helping him out. But with this, it comes a second thought. When small business owners that are trying to break into this environment, when it comes to tenant improvements or construction, most of us, all of us, very few of us have any idea what we're doing, and we don't have the resources early on to figure that out appropriately. If you have to lease a space or buy a space before you can even get it engineered, you're at a disadvantage to some larger company. And so we have this weird situation where you go into a space and you cannot foresee the costs, which can put you out of business before you open, which is about what's about to happen here. So that's why we're here tonight. So thank you for hearing him, and I would ask that you, just as you hear these come in front of you again and again, perhaps there's a way to, I know, I went through the website, there's all sorts of avenues, it's just above the regular person's head. We don't get it. So sometimes we break the code because we're ignorant, sometimes we do it intentionally because we're afraid of the costs and what's going to do to the business. And so that's the reality of the situation. And once again, thanks for leading. I know leading stinks sometimes, and boy, you guys deal with the big breadth of things here. So appreciate it, and thanks.
Clint, thank you so much. Thank you.
Mayor, I have
Yes.
a question for Mr. Keller. If you could, sorry.
I get nervous up here, so I want to sit
How many tenants have you had in this space since you've owned it?
In this space, I've had one prior to this.
So this would be the second.
Mm-hmm.
What was the process for the first initial tenant to get in that space? How long did it take them from the time leasing to reaching
And
approval?
to be
to
upfront, I
say-
was with that tenant, and we tried to just open up something without talking to the city. We broke the rules, and we got caught. We were going to try and sell drinks in acai bowls. We figured we'd go to the health department. I'll just be upfront with you. We're going to go to the health department. We thought that's important. I didn't see this is where I'm ignorant to safety. I thought, well, we're going to sell some sandwiches or whatever. And so the city came and showed us, this isn't right. So we said, okay. So we went through the process. It took us over a year to get open to sell acai bowls and fruit drinks. And it cost me an extra $100,000. Fortunately, I had $100,000 that I could waste, which I'll never get back, which is fine. They don't, and they're never going to have. If it goes this way, they're going to have to move off of the entrepreneur path and go a different route. And it's just, there's few people that want to take the risks and put it all out there, and they're doing it. And they've got guts and they've got intelligence, but they need someone at the beginning to say, don't do this. If you go to the city and they say, I know you rented this space, but it's just going to cost you more, you need to go figure out another solution. It would just be nice. I don't know if that's reality. This is where I'm ignorant to the building process. I don't get it, and I'm not going to get any deeper into it, but that's my...
Thank you.
Yep.
Mayor,
I'll turn my mic on. Thank you so much. It is not our intent to do this, and we are working diligently to resolve this situation because I would say it breaks my heart, and I think I can speak to other council members that you've been a year in the process. Now, there's probably a lot of things that take us to that, but that's not how we want to function. It is helpful to know up front because sometimes we have businesses come in and they've already committed to a lease in a building. And if we had gotten to tell them in advance, we would have said, don't go there. This is different. But it is a little challenging. And so we really we'll follow up, see what needs to happen to get it done because this is a big deal for your family. And I know you need to get it resolved. So. And then we'd be happy to visit afterwards. In fact, as you step out, if you'd like to visit with John, he's more than happy to step out. And then, John, if you will follow up on this particular issue, day one, there you go. Thank you.
Mayor, just a thought on that, listening to this process here. I'm just wondering if it might be worth us just thinking about putting together a class for small business owners that maybe want to come to Nampa and just have, code enforcement or Amy or somebody come and kind of speak to that and just walk small business owners through the process so they know what to expect and know what, I don't know, just a thought, but it sounds like.
You know what? That's a really good idea. And actually, that is a partnership we could have with the Nampa Chamber of Commerce because back in the day, as president of the chamber, we had a lot of businesses that came in and they thought the marketing plan was the chamber, but they didn't have a good business plan. And so we could partner with them, and I think it's a great idea. And we could handle the city side, they could handle the business side. Collaboratively, we could do. I think that's a great idea. So, thank you, guys. Thank you. Do we have one more? Okay, that's it? Okay. So we're really behind on our schedule tonight. So, but it's been good, and it's well worth it. We're going to skip staff communications, just as a quick FYI. We're going to put them at the conclusion of public hearings. We do have a couple of new business items that we need to get to right at the beginning. And before we step into action item 7.1, I would like to ask us if we could actually do action item 7.2 first. I don't know that this will be a long one, and so this action item is actually to approve the name that is submitted for the building located at 315 Stampede Drive, formerly known as the Hispanic Cultural Center, and this is as recommended by the Nampa Community and Cultural Advisory Group. Jose De Leon, our facility manager for that, and the one leading this charge, is here to share that name with us and to give us a brief update. Jose, thank you so much for being here this evening.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and esteemed City Council. So I come before you tonight so that we can submit the actual name that has been selected by the Nampa Community and Cultural Advisory Group. And that name is the Idaho Hispanic Community Center, is what is proposed with the acronym IH2C. And so I would stand for any questions or concerns.
Would you like to share how you got to that name? Because there was a process and a lot of names. So can you take us from the big, like 40-some, and how it came down? And
Correct.
would you like to share that?
So we met as an advisory group. We had actually 2 meetings in with the advisory group, and we put this on the agenda to be something that we needed to deal with very quickly because we actually needed to move forward on other items for the center. The group, which is comprised of 17 members of the community, came together, and we asked for proposals. There was 47 names that came through for proposal. We did it through survey, and then we came back to those 47 names and whittled it down to 10. And then from those 10, we whittled it down to 1. And then put it to a survey vote for the advisory committee. And so their recommendation came back to the Idaho Hispanic Community Center as a name that we could use for the center.
And I think the decision on the community center is with the intent that it truly is going to function as a community center. It's really wonderful for those, if anyone has walked through those doors, to see the change. It is alive, it is busy, and there's a tremendous vision for it truly functioning as a community resource center for all of our community. We have so many different events taking place today. And so we went through a process of applicants for the Nampa Community and Cultural Advisory Group, and this is their recommendation in coming forward with this. So the Idaho Hispanic Community Center, IH2C.
Right.
Comments, thoughts? Like it? Okay, I see some smiles and shaking heads. Then I would stand for a motion to approve the name as submitted.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded and thirded. So thank you all for that. Yes, and thirded. Is there any further discussion? Roll call.
Ingula.
Yes.
Bills.
Yes.
Reynolds. No. Haverfield.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
4 in favor, 1 opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
no, it's 5.
And that said, Amy, you can hit send. We've had, the media has been asking and asking and asking for this name. And so we promised that as soon as the decision was made that it would go forward. And so it's out the door. Okay, so I'm not sure what to do with these next two. If 7.3 and 7.4 will take very long. If they are, I need to put them to the back of the agenda. If you think they're going to be fast, I'll do them right now. So, and then we need to get to 7.1 in our public hearings. So,
7.4 will take some time.
okay, so we're going to have to.
7.3 will probably be quick.
We'll hold them. Okay, so we're going to start with, we do have one more new business item before we move into public hearings, and that is action item 7.1. This is an appeal of the Building and Fire Code Advisory and Appeals Board decision on April 26th regarding appeal COM 03405-2022 for Folger Development Services, LLC. The appellant is Joshua Folger. Joshua, are you here? You are, thank you. Okay, so you can come on forward, and go ahead as you come forward, give us your name and address, and you'll have 10 minutes to help brief the council on this topic. And then just from a process standpoint, staff then will come and they'll share following you. And then after they share, and if there are any questions that come forward, you will get to come back and have some closing comments. So you will get to have those closing comments and you can take notes while they're staff sharing.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you for the tutorial. This is my first time, so appreciate it.
It usually is, so.
So my name is Joshua Folger, representative of Folger Development. What other information do you need before I get started?
Address.
My address, 1099 West Crescent Street in Meridian, 83646.
Thank you.
So as I said, I'm the owner of Folger Development. I'm here to speak on the appeal, the subject appeal here. The intent of this appeal is to ensure correct interpretation of the code is followed presently and in the future. I'm hopeful of the following outcome, that all new applicants that are in violation of code receive penalty according to law. The new permits that have been issued on the subject property are voided perpetually. The reconciliation of construction costs be administered. And my original building permit be extended for 180 days, as well as all of my original MEP trade permits that were voided to be reverted back to the status of issued. To catch you all up to speed on the history, I'll essentially read the two appeal letters that I've issued to council. Regarding the formal appeal of the ruling of the Building and Fire Code Advisory and Appeals Board as it relates to Appeal COM 03405 2022 that transpired on April 9th, 2024. The Code Appeals Board ruled that the building officials' actions related to all permits, inspections at 104 Davis Avenue since February 13th have not been in violation of the City of Nampa Employee Handbook, violation of City Code, and voluntary, we'll skip that part. The intent of this appeal is to bring the council's attention the following here. So the summary of the history here set forth FDS as the contractor of record for the permit, where FDS completed the entire build by the end of July 2023, with exception to the installation of electrical switchgear that suffered an immense delay until finally delivered mid-February 2024, whereas the project owner terminated my contract October 20th, 2023. Essentially, this delay caused a separation, whereas FDS is in dispute with the separation. But setting that aside, I had an agreement with her February 8th, 2024 to end the dispute by a transfer of the permit in exchange for monies earned. Whereas during the first couple of weeks of February, the building official and his team helped Elisa navigate the property owner, navigate around the system to pull her own permit. Whereas now she's no longer interested in the agreement that we had to transfer the permit in exchange for monies. February 14th, 2024, FDS explained the situation to the building official and requested an extension of its permit in order to be able to transfer the permit to the property owner. The building official denied the request due to not having requested the extension prior to the expiration date and no other reason. The building official proceeded to aid the property owner in getting her permit issued. And this essentially cut Folger Development out of the picture altogether. Whereas the building official utilized Folger Development's intellectual property of documents, work, and inspections to issue and progress the property owner's new permit. On behalf of Folger Development, I appealed the actions of the building official. The city did not renew my permit for invalid reasons. The newest reason, as found in the first appeal process through the board, was that any owner or owner's authorized agent shall first make application to the building official and obtain the required permit. Folger Development did first obtain the required permit, and now we're in the renewal process, which is separate from anything that the IBC 105.1 references. And there is no specification outside of the preference of the building official for this renewal process that we're talking about. The appeal meeting that I attended on April 9th was supposed to be an appeal of the building official's actions to the Building and Fire Code Advisory and Appeals Board. But the building official ran the meeting who was being questioned, and the city's attorney stepped in to dictate what the board should be thinking, and directly stating that any further complaint out of FDS is to be taken up with the lady in the black robe, presumably a judge. Why I'm here is obviously the appeal didn't go in my favor, so I'm here for step number 2. Directly following the meeting of April 9th, the building official updated the property owner's new permit to passing all of Folger Development's inspections that transpired in 2022 and 2023. And after the appeal that was dictated by the city attorney, the next morning on April 10th, the building official expired that property owner's permit and placed a hold comment on it. The actions following my appeal, let's see, the offenses to highlight here. The first offense, building official's preference or action was to not renew my permit after receiving written request and justifiable cause of needing to have the permit remain valid for the transfer to the project owner after dispute resolution, and for the purpose of being able to complete the project. The building official's reason was because I did not renew before expiration, which is not a requirement that can be cited beyond preference. You don't have to, you can renew after expiration. Second offense, the building official initiated at least one phone call to one of my specialty tradesmen and dictated to them the city is requiring them to cancel their current permit and file for a new one. Third offense, the building official did not attempt to reconcile accounting of fees relating to project cost and refuted my allegation of failure to perform a fiduciary duty as identified in the employee handbook, stating that he just needs to reconcile the project cost prior to issuance of certificate of occupancy, which is half correct, but he missed the cited code in section 4-1-4.b, which says permits shall not be issued until fees are paid. There are outstanding fees for the COM 03405-2022 regarding reconciling the construction cost prior to issuance of a new permit, as well as he missed citing code section 4-1-10, which states the building official may withhold issuance of any permit to any person, firm, or corporation who has outstanding correction notices or outstanding fees, fines, or other indebtedness owed to the city of Nampa and has failed to take the directed corrective action. So the new permit that is in dispute right now was issued by the building official without consideration of those two code sections I just explained. The fourth offense, building official did not render site inspections after being notified of work being performed at the project without permit and without inspection. This is after expiration of my permit, but before issuance of the property owner's new permit. There has been, to my knowledge, there's been no misdemeanor that was considered for the project owner, no special inspection fee considered, and no refusal of permit issuance, all which is cited in code. And the fifth offense, building official took Folger Development's inspection records of old permits and transferred them to the new permits, where now the 2024 permits have inspections performed in 2022 and 2023 under my purview, which is tying me to the new permits against my will and doesn't seem right. The second letter, trying to go through to highlight this. How much time do I have? 1 minute? Okay. Then I'll just summarize here and we can go from there. My first appeal was voided because they were saying that the notice that they gave out was in violation of Idaho Code Section 74-204, which under special meetings, 24-hour meeting and agenda notice is necessary, and the notice required under this section shall include at minimum the meeting date, time, place, and name of public agency calling for the meeting. All of this took place, but they still said they were in violation and needed to void the appeal and do it again. I disputed it. They moved on without me, and on 4/26, they voided that, and here we are today with a voided appeal and then a meeting that transpired without me, and all of my aforementioned information that I gave you. So my prayer for relief is that all new applicants in violation of code receive penalty according to law. The new permits are voided perpetually, reconciliation of construction costs be administered, and my original building permit be extended for 180 days, and all of my original MEP trade permits that were voided are to be reverted back to the status of issued.
So thank you. So fortunately, we've got a little bit of a process here to go through. And so I'm thinking that we may not have questions right now, but we may listen to staff report, and then we're going to come back to you. So we'll get to listen to the whole thing. Todd, do you have any comments as we step into this? And I guess I have a question. You've cited a lot of code, and I'm hoping you have reviewed these codes, because it's going to take probably your help possibly explaining the codes and if there is a violation of the codes. I appreciate Michael being here and Jackie, neither of them of which have been directly involved. They can provide a staff report. But any comments from you?
Sure, Mayor, and I can make some initial comments, and you could ask questions of Mr. Folger now or later, either's fine. By way of process, we have the city building official under Title IV, Chapter 2 in the Idaho Building Code. Building official is responsible to interpret and apply the building code. And the building official did that in this case. If the individual disagrees with the building official's decision, then they have the ability to appeal that decision to the Building Code Advisory Board. And Mr. Folger did that. The first meeting that was held was, everything was done appropriately except for posting the agenda on the website. And that's a requirement of the open meeting law. If you have a website, you have to post that agenda on the website. If there's a violation of the open meeting law, we have to self-correct. Otherwise, you're subject to fines and penalties. So they renoticed that meeting. I believe Mr. Folger was made aware of that meeting and had the opportunity to attend. They considered the same comments and testimony and things from the previous meeting and issued the new decision as appropriately agendized and noticed. Then Mr. Folger has the right to appeal under that same Title IV, Chapter 2, the decision of the Building Code Advisory Board to the City Council. And that's what brings us here today. I think the issue is fairly straightforward as to who controls and owns that building permit. And under the building code, the owner or their authorized agent has that control and authority over that building permit. So it basically comes down to the owner of the property, because they control who their authorized agent is under the building code. And so that's kind of the central issue. I think the other issues are kind of tangents, but that's the central issue here. And so you can, again, ask questions of Mr. Folger. We also have building staff that'll make their presentation, and then Mr. Folger would have the opportunity for rebuttal or to conclude.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Can we get a clarification? Go ahead, Councilman.
Okay.
I was just going to say, I have a question for Mr. Folger whenever you're ready.
Okay, so let's go with the clarification, and then we'll go with the question from Councilman Reynolds.
So, Mr. Lakey, can you clarify who owns that permit?
Mr. Chairman, or Madam Mayor, excuse me, and Councilmember Bills, the landowner controls that building permit. They can authorize someone to apply for that building permit. I believe the landowner also paid for that building permit, but under code, I think the landowner is in the driver's seat when it comes to that building permit. He doesn't get to maintain their authorized agent status in perpetuity. The landowner can control who that authorized agent is.
Thank you. I just wanted the confirmation and clarity be into the record. So.
Thank you. Councilman Bills. Oh, excuse me, Reynolds. Thank you, Councilman Bills. Councilman Reynolds.
Mr. Folger, are you currently the owner's representative?
For that project?
Yes.
No, I'm not.
Okay, were you the owner's representative when the permits were canceled?
When the permits were canceled, no, I was not.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Are there any other questions at this time? Okay, so we're going to move, thank you. You'll have the closing comments,
Okay.
but we'll move over to staff for their report. Thank you. And Michael, this is maybe the first time you've ever
This
done
is
this,
definitely new
so
to me,
I'll
so I
let you.
apologize if I don't address you all appropriately for this sort of circumstances, but
Go ahead, yeah, name and title and, yeah.
Yeah, so my name's Michael Underwood. I represent the building department in this situation due to people being unavailable. I am the plans examiner supervisor for the Nampa Building Department. So I'd like to start with the fact that although the building department disputes some of the accusations that have been brought to the hearing here in regards to our department as well as its employees, the building department would like to focus its attention on the hearing at hand, which Todd kind of addressed. We are here today to hear an appeal of a decision for the Nampa Building, Fire, and Code Advisory Board to uphold the interpretation of the building official as it pertains to the IBC Section 105.1 and 105.5, as indicated on the highlighted section on the screen. Maybe not as indicated.
Which?
I knew I was going to break it once they gave me this thing, so I apologize. So any owner or owner's authorized agent who intends to construct, enlarge, alter, repair, remove, or demolish, or change the occupancy of a building or structure. This is the definition for a required permit. It is the City of Nampa Building Department's position that on October 20th, 2023, the Boyers, the owner of the property, provided the city with sufficient documentation to show that they had terminated Mr. Folger's authority to act on their behalf. This is clearly defined within the letter provided from Boyer's attorney to Mr. Folger's attorney dated October 13th, 2020. This can be shown in pages 15 through 20 in the packet that was provided. This is the cover sheet of that, page 15. This goes into some of the complaints that the Boyers had in regards to Mr. Folger's handling of the project. I would like to focus our attention on the final line, which is page 20, which states, please advise of your client's position on the above, but do note that if the above breaches are not repaired within 7 days, my client will terminate Folger Development Services and weigh their options of pursuing damages due to Folger breaches. This email letter was dated October 13th, 2023. Mr. Folger was provided a 7-day cure or quit, which is the statement there. Therefore, Mr. Folger, as of 7 days from the provided letter on October 20th, was no longer a valid applicant in the eyes of the building department, as the authorized agent authority provided by the owner of the property was relinquished. That statement was provided to the building official as of October 20th, 2023 at 4:37. He was neither the authorized agent or the owner of the property. This decision of the Boyers was clearly expressed within the building official on October 20th, 2023, as displayed in an email provided to Jeff Miranda, the acting building official. I bring the attention to the second code section in question, which is 105.5. So every permit issued shall become invalid unless work on the site authorized by such permit is commenced within 180 days after its issuance, or if the work authorized on the site by such permit is suspended or abandoned for a period of 180 days after the time of work is commenced. The building official is authorized to grant in writing one or more extensions of time for periods not more than 180 days each. As indicated in the section, it authorizes the building official to grant an extension to a permit, but in no way obligates him to do so. It is the city's position that the extension, if granted, is to be granted to a valid applicant, which on October 23rd, 2023, the day that Mr. Folger had his original request for extension, he was no longer a valid applicant as stated previously. With this information provided here today, the building official deemed it appropriate to leave the building permit COM 03405-2022 as expired and not grant Mr. Folger an extension request, as he was no longer a valid permit holder. In addition, all associated trade permits had expired prior to the request for the extension. Mechanical permit 19465-2023 expired September 27, 2023. Electrical permit ELE 23007-2023 expired October 3rd, 2023. And plumbing permit PLU-21405-2023 expired September 26, 2023. All these permits expired due to inactivity, and these dates can be seen on sheet 38 through 40. Subsequently, the building department received a building permit application from the Boyers as a valid applicant, and were issued a new permit to complete the work that remained. This permit is under COM 04252-2024. In addition, we received application from all trade permits. These applications were received by the building department under their own free will and associated with the newly applied permit to the property owners. From the information provided before you, it is the building department's position that the ruling brought down from the Nampa Building and Fire Code Advisory Board meeting dated April 26, 2024 should be upheld by the council. I appreciate your time. Thank you. Do I stay,
Thank you.
stay
Yes,
for
you can
questions?
stay right there.
Okay.
Are there any questions for Mr. Underwood? Okay, I'm not seeing any questions at this time. Okay, yes.
I have a question back for the app, or the, whatever he's called, defendant or whatever. But you did a good job as far as bringing us the information that we needed, answered a lot of my questions, so.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so it is an opportunity for Mr. Folger to come and provide closing comments and stand for questions for, we'll start, we have, actually, so Councilman Haverfield, would you like to ask the question first? Our appellant does have 5 minutes to provide closing comments if preferred, or would you like to ask your question first?
My question's pretty simple and straightforward. What form of agreement did you have between yourself and your client? Was it an AIA document?
Yeah, a modified AIA document.
Okay, can you tell me which one it was?
No, I can't. It's a lump sum agreement with a list of allowances.
Okay, was there, in that contract, was there an article about binding dispute resolution or a termination clause?
Yes, Section 8 is a termination clause in that contract.
Okay, so that's where I'm off as far as, if it was an A102 document, it would have been under Article 7, not 8. So I can't look it up to see what it states, but it does give the owner the ability to terminate with cause and notice. So
with cause and without cause. And so that's where the dispute lies, is my stance is that she terminated without cause. Her stance is she terminated with cause.
Thank you for bringing that before us. That is a matter, I think, that beyond us at this point. There's a lot going on here. Obviously, you know it because you're living it. we're just looking at it for the first time, trying to understand the process you're going through, so.
Of course.
But it would help me if I knew what contractor you used, but it still states that the owner has the ability to make those kind of decisions based upon whatever reason that they might come up with. Were you paid for the work that you were done?
No,
Not at all, or
Not
was a
fully.
portion held out?
So I just want to interrupt and ask a question. I don't know if those questions are appropriate, and I'd like to ask our legal counsel if they're appropriate to this discussion, because we're here to determine whether we're going to approve or deny this appeal, but not his issue as a more of a civil issue with his owner. So it gets down to who owns that permit, I believe. But Todd, could you speak to that? I want to make sure we're not stepping into an area that is not our area.
Madam Mayor, we do want to be careful into delving too much into the contractual relationship between the parties. That's not really our role to determine who was right in regards to whether Mr. Folger was paid fully or not. I think the issue is, did we have appropriate notification that Mr. Folger was no longer the authorized agent for the city?
Mayor, if it's as simple as who owns the building permit, if that's all we're looking at, then no, I don't need the additional information. If I were involved with it, obviously it would, this is going towards a civil action at some point, so I don't have enough information to aid, I guess, anyone as far as in that decision, but as far as for myself, it's just as simple as who owns the building permit. I would lead on legal for that advice.
Thank you. And so would you mind making a comment on, as far as legally, Todd, if you have any other comment, obviously our appellant has the final comment tonight. So if you would like to comment on Councilman Haverfield's question as far as legally, according to our code and according to the notification, who owns that permit?
Madam Mayor, I'd probably just emphasize again my previous response to Councilmember Bills as far as the ownership and control of the building permit. And as was acknowledged, even by the appellant, they have authority to revoke that. Again, it's not really us, the city's responsibility to determine right or wrong of the dispute between the owner and the contractor, or be kind of leveraged for one side or the other. We're simply looking at that process, and did the building official act reasonably and appropriately under their authority regarding that building permit.
Based on the communication they received?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. With that, then, Mr. Folger, it's your opportunity to provide closing comments.
Okay. There was discussion about section 105.5, not obligating the building official to renew. And then later, when we went through the first appeal, 105.1 was brought up, saying that any person that intends on building, et cetera, shall first obtain a building permit. And as I mentioned in my 10 minutes of fame, we did that, and now we're moving on. The city attorney mentioned that, well, you can't be a valid applicant in perpetuity if you're no longer the owner's representative. But then doesn't that put the city in a position of choosing right or wrong, where that would be above the purview of this room on deciding when perpetuity starts or stops, when the validity of an applicant or a permit holder, in which I have thousands of dollars in the initial permit that I've paid for out of my pocket as well. So to talk about the permit holder, or to try to cite 105.1 being an owner's representative, that again doesn't talk about, it talks about what you do first. You apply for the permit, you obtain the permit, but it doesn't talk about this section here that we're talking about today with the appeal process of, I didn't get renewed. So 105.1 doesn't deal with renewal. Granted, there was discussion about, well, you can't be owner's representative in perpetuity. Yes, but that is for a different room in front of the lady in the black robe. so I've been told. So I feel like the rejection of renewal of my permit remains invalid, that 105.1, talking about owner's representative or owner shall first obtain a permit, that doesn't give us enough information. That doesn't give us validity of not renewing my permit. 105.5, it was said here today that it's left up to the preference of the building official, so that's why I've gone through step number 1 appeal and now step number 2 appeal, is that I don't agree with the building official's preference. I will leave it at that and answer any outstanding questions that you all have.
Mayor Kling.
Yes.
I have just a couple. Mr. Folger, I don't see any of your checks here that show that you paid for some of those permits. Is there a reason for that?
I have record of, it's been months now since I've looked it up, but it was over $7,000 that I paid to the city of Nampa for permitting.
Okay, and that was on behalf of the Boyers, or that was behalf of your company doing DBA as the Boyers?
That would have been on, I guess I don't understand the question. It was for the purpose of her project. The contract stated that she was responsible for all permits, but she wanted all the money to pass through escrow. So at the point that I was hired, all the money needed to pass through escrow, and those permits were obtained. I wrote the check, sent it in as remaining the, well, I'd like to think of myself as still the applicant and the permit holder thereof, but yeah, I shoveled out thousands of dollars for that initial permit.
Okay, so have you been reimbursed for that money yet?
I'm
No,
going to
I-
interrupt.
no,
This
I've not
is
been
none of
paid.
our business.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm going to be really straightforward with council. Council, we are here tonight. We are not getting into the civil issues between Mr. Folger and, I'm not sure who the other people are.
Okay, Mayor.
That is not our place. We're here,
Yeah.
this is strictly about the not re-permitting, right? Not issuing or renewing his permit, and then the appeal went to the building code. So we want to keep our questioning to that.
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, and the validity of voiding my first appeal is also why we're here.
Thank you. Okay. So with that,
no
are there
further
any
questions.
further questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Folger. Appreciate you being here. So tonight, the action item is an appeal of the Building and Fire Code Advisory and Appeals Board decision not to renew the permit as discussed. I'm not going to repeat all that is here.
Mayor, I have a motion.
Thank you.
I would make a motion then that we uphold the appeals board decision and deny the appellant this evening action.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to not approve the appeal. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Jingula.
Yes.
Haverfield.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Bills.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Folger. Thank you for going through the process. Thank you. So we've gone through new business items 7.1 and 7.2. Staff communications will be at the conclusion of public hearing, as will action items 7.3 and 7.4. Right now, we are going to move into our public hearings, and we're going to step into public hearing 8.1. This is an action item. This is a variance of Nampa City Code 1028-5C, requiring a 10-foot setback from the interior property lines, and Nampa City Code 1028-12C 1 through 3, specifying the required minimum 25-foot end-to-end setback, the 15-foot side-to-side setbacks, and the minimum 10-foot from structures or mobile homes in adjoining space to allow replacement of older mobile homes over time with a more modern multi-section homes which require a larger building envelope. This is at 914 North Midland Boulevard on a 4.87 acre parcel for Andrew Bosflug. I don't know if I've said that correctly. Is our applicant here? Are you Andrew? Thank you. Base fluke. Thank you for correcting me. I'm so sorry. I'm like, oh dear. Thank you. So go ahead and share your name and address, and you'll have 7 minutes to give us some information.
My name is Andrew Baselug, and I'm mayor and council. My address is 2667 Good Court in Boise. I'm the managing member of the LLC, which is the owner of this manufactured housing community. It's called Gem Mobile Manor. It was built in the 1970s, 1972. It has 36 mobile home spaces. The lots are generally 50 feet wide and either 83 or 100 feet deep, depending on the placement within the park. Homes were placed in the 1970s. Generally, it was opened in 1972. Most homes are from the early 70s. The HUD code, the Housing and Urban Development requirements for manufactured housing, weren't put into place until 1976. Most homes that were built and placed in the park were built prior to that, so they're not subject to any specific code. They're certainly not subject to the Nampa City Code. Quality and conditions vary widely. In general, most homes have a 5-foot front setback and a minimum of 2 foot on the sides. Generally, they have carports and awnings, and generally 15 feet between the homes. We removed a home on space number 9. The ownership of the community has, in general, replaced older homes with newer homes. We've generally replaced single-wide homes with double-wide homes to try and create more of a single-family residential appeal. The homes are set, in general, in the same placement as the homes that were previously removed. The number of homes has not changed. There's been 36 spaces. They remain 36. We're just removing homes and replacing them with new homes over time. Based on prior correspondence with the city, we believe that the proper side setback for this new home for space number 9 would be 6 feet, indicating a building envelope of 38. So it's a 50-foot wide lot, less 6 feet on either side, gets you to 38 feet. That would allow for a placement of a new double-wide home and a 10-foot wide carport. After the initial permit application, we were told that that setback is 10 feet, and we're requesting the variance down to 6 feet, based on prior correspondence with the city. We purchased the park in 2019, and since then we've replaced 5 new homes, 4 of which are double wides, 1 of which is a single wide. In general, those requests to the city have been approved with 6-foot side setbacks. We have previous correspondence via email with the city, as well as those homes have since been placed, permitted, inspected, and approved. I've been told that that was issued in error, but the precedent was set, I believe, for a 6-foot setback, and also would create a hardship for ownership. The intent here is to remove older, oftentimes dilapidated single-wide homes and replace them with new double-wides. Without a variance, we cannot place a double-wide home in a 10-foot carport, so you would either end up with a new single-wide, which I don't think anyone necessarily wants. We're looking for a general improved appeal, more of a single-family residential appeal. Single-wides are not typically in line with that sort of a business practice, so we're trying to do double-wides, and or you'd have a double-wide without a carport. Having a carport, I think, especially in a senior park for snow, covered storage, people's trash bins, et cetera, we'd like to have them both. So having the 10-foot side setback on either side would prevent a double wide with a carport. And typically 10 feet is the minimum width of a carport in order for a sedan to fit. If you could do 8, oftentimes it's going to be too narrow for most vehicles and generally unusable. And I don't think I need to go through the specific points in the code language, and I think the staff has addressed this as well, but I believe that the Nampa City Code is somewhat confusing as it relates to manufactured housing. The code references mobile homes, which homes built prior to 76 are considered mobile homes. As defined in code, homes built post 76 are called manufactured. So the code references older language. The code also requires a 10-foot side setback, whereas in a mobile home park, if you were to place a manufactured home on a single-family home lot, if you just own the land and place the home, that side back requirement would only be 5 feet for residential uses. So we're looking for a little bit of consistency between code for residential versus mobile home park. And I also wanted to point out that, once again, the number of units won't change. There's 36. There will continue to be 36. We're trying to preserve non-subsidized affordable housing. This is a senior mobile home park. at rents that are significantly cheaper than a single-family stick-built home or apartments. And there's no federal, state, or local subsidy for doing that. We believe that upgrading housing stock and preserving that affordable housing is appropriate and should be encouraged. I think that I'd also like to point out some of the photos for overall update of quality and appeal. You can see the older home, which is the top right photo, and at the top left photo, is an older single-wide home. The bottom two photos are of a quality and condition that we'd like to replace them with. This is a newer double-wide placed in 2020. This is just 2 spaces down. And that's the intent, is to overall, these homes, when they were built in the early 70s, they were designed to last 50 to 60 years, most of which are 50 or 60 years old. They deserve to be updated, most of which don't have modern electrical, plumbing, et cetera. So replacing these with new, modern built manufactured housing is important. And we believe that having new double wides with awnings is something that the city should encourage. I think that's it.
Thank you.
Mayor, a question?
Yes, questions?
So a clarification, your request is a new standard of setbacks for the entire park.
Correct. The issue we have here with the 50-foot wide, that's going to be the same as when all of these homes eventually are pulled and then replaced. It would be the same issue on all of them. And I should have been more specific. The request was for the 6-foot setback on side setbacks, which was previously approved by the city on other homes that have been replaced during our ownership. So from 10 down to 6 for the entire community.
And then is there change on the rear or front?
Generally, no. I mean, almost all, like if you look at that line of homes, they're all 5-foot setbacks. So the setback on the front is generally uniform. The back just depends on the length of the home. So like replacing a single wide home, I believe that one's 72 foot long. The replacement home would be 52. So it's going to be double wide, but it'll be significantly shorter. So you'll gain, I think if the question is if it's a 1,200 square foot home replaced with a 1,200 square foot home, the amount of green space or yard space or garden, that won't change.
Thank you.
Mayor Klein?
Yes.
A couple of quick questions. Are we talking any of these on permanent foundations, or are they all on frames and axles with skirt?
Frames and axles have all been removed. They're all pier set with the newer homes. It kind of depends. The older homes, they're a variety of sets. Newer homes are pressure treated and painted skirting.
Okay. And I heard you say senior housing. Is this
Correct. It's a 55 and older.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Yes, Councilman.
Thank you, Mayor. So, Andrew, are you going to do any infrastructure repair or upgrading to apply for the standard of the new double wides?
So we've recently done, in the summer of 22, replaced all of the water systems in the park. We abandoned the previous system and upgraded everything with new PVC. It was galvanized steel, and we were experiencing a significant amount of both corrosion in people's drinking water and lots of loss. Bills have since gone down by 2/3 for the water usage in the park, and we've also had a lot of people have commented that the water quality's increased. As a part of that, we had to tear up quite a bit of roadway, so we put in all new curbs and gutters, and then slowly coated all the asphalt.
Oh, very good. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Thank you so much. So in this process, we'll have staff report. This is a public hearing. We'll open it up for any comments, and then we'll give you the opportunity to answer any additional questions and close this out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. He did a great job describing his request, so I am just going to move on. How's that? So this property is zoned RA, which is suburban residential. Mobile home parks are allowed in that zone. It is completely surrounded by RS6 and RSD zoning, which is all single-family residential. He went over the history of this. This property has had a couple of things happen to it. It has had a mobile home park, kind of a conditional use permit process, go through the Planning and Zoning Commission due to some conversions of some empty lots. That happened in 2020. In 2019, we had some new employees in our office who were not aware of the mobile home park zoning codes. In the regular zoning codes for RS6, RA, RD, those kinds of things, we do have setbacks that list out the 5 feet on each side of the property line, which ultimately between dwellings or between structures would be 10 feet. But in the mobile home park, because there are no property lines within those spaces, the layout is a little bit different. And so the codes from the mobile home park chapter were not relayed at that time. One of our staff went and spoke with the building department to determine what the appropriate setback dimensions would be. They said 6 feet. That's what they moved forward with. They were able to install the types of units that they wanted. No harm, no foul. So this is, again, the aerial of some of the units that have been replaced, provided by the applicant. This is the new layout as proposed for future replacement of the double wides. And you can see the ages there of the single wides that would be replaced. The applicable regulations here for the variance purposes are the 5 different criteria that must be met for granting a variance. Also, this is the mobile home requirements that we are asking for the variance for. Again, the setback shall be at least 10 feet from any interior property line. They're asking for that to go down to 6 so that they can have the extra width. End to end, 25 feet. That's going to be lessened in some respect based, again, on the length of the unit. Side to side, 15 feet. And then structures situated in one space shall be separated by at least 10 feet from other structures on the mobile homes. Again, through the building department codes, was determined that 6 feet was appropriate. The Nampa Fire District turned in some correspondence that concurs that 6 feet is appropriate. These would be the conditions of approval based on the previous CUP that was issued, determining the density of the overall park, and then, of course, that it would have to meet building codes as each unit is replaced. For the findings of fact, then I'll go through the criteria. For the first one, the literal interpretation and enforcement of the regulation would result in practical difficulty or unnecessary physical hardship inconsistent with the objectives of this title. The applicant intends to replace the existing mobile homes with newer, wider mobile homes. The reduced setbacks allow for the same number of units to occupy the existing mobile home spaces within the park. Therefore, the practical difficulty exists because the newer mobile homes are larger, so they will not fit into the original building envelope outlined when that mobile home park was designed and established in the 70s. There are extraordinary site characteristics applicable to the property involved for the intended use of the property, which do not apply generally to other properties classified in the same zoning district. The applicant intends, again, to replace these with newer, wider mobile homes, and the reduced setbacks will still occupy the same number of spaces. So extraordinary site circumstances were created when the Gem Mobile Home Manor was designed and established in the 70s. Since that time, this mobile home park has been maintained, improved, and upgraded. The applicant would like to continue to make these upgrades, but the existing building envelopes for each mobile home site restrict the size of the units that can be installed currently. So the third one is the literal interpretation and enforcement of the regulation would deprive the applicant of privileges enjoyed by owners of other properties classified in the same zoning district. Single-family lots where mobile homes can be located typically have 5-foot side yard setbacks from the property line, 15-foot rear yard setbacks, and 20-foot front yard setbacks. Adding larger units creates an upgraded neighborhood that is more in line with the similarly zoned properties. The applicant would like to continue to make these upgrades, but the existing building envelopes for each mobile home site restricts the size of the units that can be installed. So therefore, the RA zoning district allows for a variety of residential land uses, and if the setbacks were strictly applied to this development, it would deprive them of the ability to upgrade the property. Other properties zoned in the RA zoning district have the opportunity to continue to upgrade their properties. Number 4, the granting of the variance will not constitute a grant of special privilege inconsistent with the limitations of other properties classified in the same zoning district. All again, for those same reasons as stated. The granting of the variance will not constitute a grant of special privilege inconsistent with the limitations on other properties classified in the same zoning district because other properties are able to develop their property with smaller setbacks and building envelope requirements. Number 5. The granting of the variance will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare of or materially injurious to properties or improvements in the vicinity. The engineering division has reviewed the proposal and no site triangle triangle violations exist. No known traffic concerns have been identified due to the granting of this variance. The variance does not create any known additional safety, health, or welfare concerns. Adding larger units creates an upgraded appearance for the neighborhood that is more in line with the properties in the same zoning districts. The upgraded appearance of the existing mobile home park will enhance the aesthetics of the surrounding neighborhood. The mobile home park design standards outlined in code require a greater setback between units to provide for more yard area for each individual space within the park. So no detriment to the public health, safety, or welfare will be created by the granting of the requested variance. In addition, the granting of the variance is not materially injurious to properties or improvements in the vicinity because no known concerns could be identified in the review of the project, and the upgraded appearance of the existing mobile home park will enhance the aesthetics of the neighborhood. These are your potential motions, and I will stand for any questions.
Mayor Kling.
Thank you. Yes, Councilor.
Christie, I was trying to count for a while how many slides back I wanted you to go, but I lost track. There was at one point, I thought that I saw that you had 15 feet between dwelling units listed as a condition of approval. Is that correct, or did I miss that?
Oh, here we go, side to side. So adjacent spaces should provide distance between mobile homes of 15 feet.
Okay, so that 15 feet, since we're not talking property lines that we're straddling, 15 feet then would equate to 6 and 9, if it's 15 feet is what so the applicant asked for 6 feet to a property line, but that's not the case here.
He's asking for 6 feet between dwelling units, so 3 on each side of an imaginary property line.
Okay. Probably need to have someone from the building department then speak to that from a fire resistance standpoint.
Right, and as stated by the fire department, that is appropriate. It is in the International Fire Code that it can be 6 feet apart.
Is that with a specialized firewall on those units, restricted glazing? I mean, there's questions that come into play that I guess I need clarity on. And then the other question I would have is, and looking at the overall, that picture, just go back three slides.
That one?
One more. The driveways, the front of the units, the carport structures, they don't appear to be 20 feet off of the driving surface. How is the parking provided in this density as well?
Councilman Haberfield, when we do a mobile home layout, and granted I have not done very many of them, the setback is typically 5 feet from the edge of pavement because the entire area is done on one parcel. There's no parcel lines really to measure off of. So it's 5 feet off of the edge of pavement into the driveway. And then the driveway has to be at least a parking stall length, so 9 by 20. And so that carport can be located anywhere within that parking.
Are they only required to have one parking space per dwelling unit? What is the width of the road section? Is parking on the road section limited?
I do not have that information.
Because if it's only 20 feet wide, then that doesn't provide adequate access for a fire engine to be able to get through that development if there's cars on the street. So that's where I was a little concerned about the parking. It looks like there might have been a back area that might have been additional parking, but not a whole lot. So that's the only thing I'm concerned about, is just looking at some of these things that we would normally see in a traditional subdivision that we're not seeing in this case.
And in this case, this isn't adding or changing any new units. So the parking is going to stay exactly the same way that it was previously.
And, well, doesn't matter. Silvercrest and Goldcrest, they have different size lots, I would imagine, because they have their garages attached to their units as well. But they're mobile homes that are on permanent foundations and not on piers. So it's a different setup, like you say.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Christie?
So I do have a question, Mayor. Thank you. Christie, I'm a little confused on the approval that's printed there in front. Does that match what the applicant's asking for variance, or is that your recommendation?
Which, I'm
This
sorry.
is the motion at the very end.
Motion at the very
Oh, the
end.
motion at the end?
I'm reading one thing, and I thought I heard something different from the applicant. To approve the variance from those standards to what the applicant is asking.
That is correct.
That's what it is. So in our motion, it doesn't necessarily state to a 6-foot.
It doesn't.
So Councilman Bills,
So we could
basically,
interject
we would be going off of the condition that says they have to meet the building department requirements. And if the building department is good with 6 feet, we would allow them to continue to build them at a 6-foot setback. They couldn't go any closer than that because that would not meet building code.
So the motion then, where the clarity comes, is with all proposed conditions and findings, because it's within those. Okay, but if we wanted to clarify that, would that be a problem?
No, that's not a problem.
Okay, so we'll get there. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions at this time? Thank you, Christine.
Thank you.
So this is a public hearing, and Shar?
Mayor?
Oh, yes.
Sorry, we've got Ron here. I wondered
I'm
if
sorry.
that question might be addressed before.
Ron, thank you for coming forward. I am so sorry. Would you like to speak to the envelope and the setbacks as it relates to fire code?
I can.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Kling. Commissioner, or not Commissioner, sorry, I'm used to our commissioners, Councilman Haverfield. As far as that 6-foot separation out of International Residential Code, it's, as Christie stated, 3 foot off an imaginary property line. The one item with that is that if your eaves project into that 3 feet or into the 6 feet, that they would need to be rated, just a 1-hour rating. So, or if you just keep the eaves out of the entire 6-foot separation, then you don't need to do that. So I think that what they're proposing here did not have any eaves within that 6 feet.
Okay, thank you. So the overhangs would have to be protected overhangs. What about windows themselves? Is there a placement of the windows to make sure that you don't have issues where you're contributing a fire from one building to the next? I mean, 6 feet is not very wide, and especially if you have a wind blowing, it's just going to channel that little microclimate right through between those units. And I've always heard that mobile home parks are supposed to be tornado-free zones, but they're not. Same thing with fires. If you start stacking tinder boxes that close together, I'm just concerned about the potential for a fire spread. And then I'm also worried about the road section itself, and if parking is restricted so that it's not allowed on the road surface itself, to allow you to be able to get in and around, to be able to protect the safety of those that are living there.
Sure, Mayor, Councilman Haverfield. So on the roadway, it appears right now we have no parking on the roadway to ensure that. We can also go back and look at that. As Christie stated, it is an existing situation, so we don't necessarily have the ability to go back and make that wider, but we can certainly make sure that they're enforcing the traffic restrictions so that they're not parked out there. As far as the windows lining up, again, as long as it's outside the 6 feet, there's no requirement for rating. So I understand what you're saying. Historically, the older manufactured homes do burn pretty aggressively, and we've had our share in Nampa. And so when you do get them closer, yes, they do tend to transmit fire from one to the other, but we don't really have a code to stand on to require them to go any further apart. So
This is a variance request, and we're being asked to approve a variance of something less than what I would normally accept. So I would just, fall back on your opinion if this is a good idea or not.
Council member, I'm comfortable with it because it's what's existing in a
No,
lot
it's
of
not.
well, not here. You're right. It's it's a condition that's accepted in the IRC. It's something we're used to dealing with, and other, you know, developments and structures, maybe not as much in mobile home parks, but with the, one of my views is with the newer trailers coming in, or manufactured homes coming in, they are more fire safe, less likely to have a fire, and therefore just kind of lowering that risk overall once he gets them all replaced, you know, is one way to look at it. But it's just not something we've had a real concern with having them any closer than 6 feet.
And that's with the skirted units as well.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really look at
Doesn't
them
matter?
differently between their skirted or in a foundation, so.
Thank you.
Yep.
Are there any other questions? Thank you, Ron. Thank you. Okay, so this is a public hearing, and sure.
Madam Mayor, there is no one that did an advance sign up for this item.
Is there anyone here that had intended to testify on this matter this evening? Seeing no one, this is an opportunity for our applicant to come back and provide any closing comments. Council, if you have any questions.
I just want to address a couple of the questions, and can I use this? Okay. Maybe. This, okay. I'll get it. The questions I think I wanted to address, let's just start with this one. I think one of the things that I didn't point out, I don't think clearly enough, was the difference here between 10 feet and 15 feet. The 15 feet is between, this is the existing code, not the variance request, but there's differentiation between the distance between homes versus the distance between structures. So most of these home lots, the spaces themselves are 50 feet wide. So if you have a 26-foot wide double wide or a 13-foot wide single wide, and I'll go back to the aerial, you'll see on most of these homes, they're significantly wider than it would appear. Most of the homes have both a carport on one side as well as an additional entry awning over a front door on the other. So typically what you're seeing are steel structures that extend 10 to 12 feet on one side and 6 to 8 feet on the other. So when you're talking about the distance in between things, it's not the distance in between homes is 6 feet, it's the distance in between structures, predominantly, or which are non-flammable.
And that's, I was going to ask you that. I mean, to be able to get these units down the freeway, they can't be much more than 12 to 13 feet wide.
So like this single wide is, I believe, 13, and then this bottom double wide is 26 foot 8, so 13 feet 4
Total, and then you stitch them
per
together.
section, and then they combine them. Yeah.
Okay, well, that makes more sense to me then.
And this is maybe so if you look on this example here, like on the right-hand side and the left-hand side for this home 9 that we're replacing, the awning is on either side. It's not adjacent to a home either to the right or to the left. This is the awnings for, now that top right photo, you can see it's a latticed covering of a carport is the adjacent home to the left. It's not the home itself, it's the carport. The questions on parking, there's no street parking allowed. There is at the entryway, you can see there is one vehicle there. There are 3 striped spaces at the entryway. There's a cutout, which is a wider section of the roadway. There's also 2 spaces in the back right and left corners. There's no on-street parking anywhere else in the park. Each home has at least one covered carport. We've never had any other issues with parking, and it's strictly enforced. And I just wanted to echo to the fire conversation about new homes. I think that's one of the reasons why we're upgrading the home stock. We're concerned about, especially when it relates to wiring. You're talking about homes that were built without any referenced code. I have no idea what code these homes were built to prior to 1976. There wasn't a uniform code. So I think that over time, it makes sense to replace those homes with something else. That was all I had.
Thank you. Council, do you have any further questions?
Mayor?
Yes?
For motion.
Okay, we have to close public hearing,
Okay.
so we're not quite ready. So if there are no further questions, I would stand for a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, so at this time, this is an opportunity for any discussion and/or a motion. And it sounds like Councilman Griffins.
Mayor, and unless you have another comment.
No, I was going to say that I was concerned at first, because whenever you stick living spaces, especially bedrooms, within 6 feet of each other, things happen where an explosive fire can get across a property line pretty quickly. And when you're talking about 6 feet apart, that's if that's what we're talking, what my original concern was, but
These are considerably further, yeah.
when we're looking at a double wide being 26 feet wide and we're talking about carport structures or entry covers, then that's a completely different deal for me. I was originally going to be a no, but I'm not now.
Thank you. Okay, Councilman Dickens.
Mayor, I move to approve the variance of NCC 10-28-5.c, requiring a 10-foot setback from interior property lines, and NCC 10-28-12-C.1-3, specifying the required minimum 25-foot end-to-end setback, 15-foot side-to-side setback, and a minimum 10-foot from structures or mobile homes in adjoining space to allow replacement of older mobile homes over time with more modern multi-section homes which require a larger building envelope at 914 North Midland Boulevard for Andrew. Wow, Andrew B. Can that be permitted rather than try? Variance -00155-2024 with all proposed conditions and findings.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Mayor, I just think this is great that the marketplace is working on upgrading the properties, and so applaud your work, and we want to try to help my perspective.
Mayor Kling?
Yes.
And I'll echo that as well. Having my parents go through a similar situation, having a 55 and older community that they could live in, they could afford to live in their final years was very nice. So I appreciate that.
I was thinking the same thing. Thank you for replacing these, first of all, because they do need to be replaced. And thank you for providing affordable housing for our seniors. And it'll make a much nicer park. And so look forward to you fulfilling that. Thank you very much. If there's no further comment, roll call.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Chingula?
Yes.
Bills?
Yes.
Haverfield?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
There you go. Thank you. Okay, so are we needing a break, or are we okay to keep going? I think we're individually taking breaks. Okay. So we're going to move to 8.2 on the agenda. So 8.2 is an action item. This is a subdivision short plat approval and a zoning map amendment from suburban residential to two-family residential zoning district and a potential development agreement for Sierra Meadows Addition subdivision, a .57 acre parcel addressed as 9 South Sugar Street for Centurion Engineers. David Crawford representing Alejandro Chaparro. Original concept is 8 dwelling units in 4 two-unit buildings. Is our applicant with us this evening? Thank you. Thank you for coming forward and sharing your name and address.
Mayor, council members, my name is David Crawford, 2323 South Vista Avenue in Boise, and I'm here representing the applicant. Good evening. I know you got a lot on your plate. I'll try and keep it brief. You've been here a long time already. However, we do agree with the conditions of approval as presented by staff. We believe we've got a great project here that complements the previously approved Sierra Meadows development directly to the north. This land was purchased after the Sierra Meadows Phase 1 was approved for the fourplexes. During that hearing, it came up that the entrance we had to the development was too close to 3rd Street at the intersection. So the owner of the property had already approached the neighboring property to the south, but that person, so that we could relocate our access point, but that person wasn't ready to sell at the time. So we came before council, got the original project approved, along with an entrance either to Sugar Street or through the Sugar Creek townhomes adjacent to the property here. So ultimately, a few months later, the owner was able to purchase the property directly to the south, relocate the entrance, and we brought this project before you, which we're here discussing tonight. So between our first project and now, after the staff had asked us to move the entrance south to increase the separation distance to 3rd Street North, we purchased the property, made a significant investment in that, and relocated our entrance. And during this time, the owner put the first project on hold for almost a year. And during this time, a project, Covey Run, to the east property installed an entrance. They didn't install an entrance in line with our driveway across the street, but here we are tonight talking about condition of approval from the city engineer to relocate our entrance 30 feet south to match up with Covey Run Apartments. This is an odd-shaped piece of property. And it was recommended by the city through the hearings and our meetings to purchase this property so we could get that entrance relocated south to increase the safety. We agreed with that, and when an opportunity came about at the appropriate time, we purchased the property, made the investment, relocated our entrance, and now we're here before you tonight with the city asking us to move the entrance once again. This project is very small. We don't have 2 square feet to give to keep the property in its current configuration. If we move that entrance road south 30 feet, we lose an entire lot. So the Planning and Zoning Commission heard our plea for relief and recommended approval to you folks tonight. So again, we believe that we do have standing to do so. It is allowed by policy. The city engineer states that, the access shall be aligned, but that's not the way it's worded. In the policy manual, it states the road should be aligned. It goes without saying that you can drive through any residential subdivision on a local road and the driveways don't align across the street. So we're not asking for anything different than that here tonight. It's a local road, and we believe that we deserve the same situation. The property is constrained in size and shape, and normally properties like this are given a little more latitude because they're infill developments, they're difficult. It's an odd-shaped site, and it's got a lot of sloping terrain that we have to deal with. And it's also providing access to our other project. So, excuse me, I'm running out of breath here. In summary, we feel that this project would be an attractive asset to the city of Napa. It not only provides much-needed housing, but it handles the development of 2 awkward parcels while maximizing the safety of the roadways in the vicinity. We respectfully request approval for the development as proposed, and I'll stand for any questions you have.
Mayor Clayton.
Yes. Councilman Haverford.
Mr. Crawford, are you still planning on developing the parcel on 3rd Street North later on if this goes through?
Councilmember Haverfield, Mayor, yes, absolutely. We've already, this was a short plat application, so we actually had to develop the full set of construction plans for review. So that was submitted for the entire site with this project.
You're talking about civil?
Yeah, all the civil underground and utilities necessary to serve the subdivision.
Mayor Clayton. I'll need to recuse myself then on this project.
Okay. Okay, are there any other questions? Okay, thank you. So we'll have you come back. I think you know how this goes, so thank you so much. Christy.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The request before you this evening is a rezone from RA to RD to provide for the short plat for the Sierra Meadows addition at 9 South Sugar Street. The property is currently in the city and zoned RA, which is suburban residential, surrounded by existing multifamily projects that have either been constructed or approved to be constructed. The entire area is zoned RD except for this one parcel. The immediately surrounding uses are all residential, single-family townhouses, apartments, and multiplex buildings. So the comprehensive plan shows this as medium-density residential. Previously, the medium-density residential zoning designation allowed for the RD zoning to have fourplexes and triplexes and those kinds of things. Now it requires townhomes. The short plat in this case will divide these duplex units into townhouses. The comprehensive plan outlines goals and strategies for single-family uses and options for housing affordability. This project provides housing types that will meet those goals. The comprehensive plan also defines compatibility between land uses and site and building design, and staff feels that with the multifamily projects that are in the area already, this does meet that compatibility requirement. So this will be analyzed, or has been analyzed, under the Chapter 10 RD zoning district requirements. The proposed RD zoning is a permitted zone within the comprehensive plan medium density land use designation. And the two-family residential or duplex-style attached units are an allowed use in 10.3.2, which is our schedule of uses in the zoning code. Park Ridge Elementary is about 1.1 miles away, is not within walking distance. Endeavor Elementary is a half a mile away. It is within walking distance. East Valley Middle School is 3.2 miles away, is not within walking distance. And Columbia High School is 2.2 miles away, which is not within walking distance. City sewer and water are available to this property. Again, as Mr. Crawford stated, there are some conditions of approval from the engineering department that indicates that they would like for the access to align with the development across the street. In regards to the plat in the RD zone, each lot may contain only one building. This is actually going to be divided so that the attached units are actually more like townhouses. Each building may contain up to 4 dwelling units. The first 2 units require 7,000 square feet of land, and additional units, therefore, with the base lot require 3,500 each. So that's a 14,000 square foot lot. The lot sizes range from 14,000 square feet to 19,860 square feet. Again, they have one lot that is to the west. It's in that triangle there on the end. It is a duplex that would technically require 6,000 square feet for the minimum lot size, but they are proposing 5,000 square feet because of the angles of that, and they would need to request an exception from you to be able to allow that 5,000 square foot lot. The parking that was proposed, the parking required for the entire development together, so that's the phase to the north and this one, is 32 spaces. They have proposed 45 standard spaces plus 2 ADA spaces.
So Christy, could you just go back to that real quickly? So what you just said and what I'm reading is different. So am I missing something? It says parking code requirements, 24 units at 2 per unit, were 48 spaces required. They provided 61.
Oh, I'm sorry. The slide is correct. My notes were wrong.
Okay.
The slide is correct. So yeah, 61 spaces were provided, which equals 2.5 spaces per unit for the overall development. Thank you for catching that.
Thank you.
So again, this goes back to the waiver or the exception request from City Council for the 5,000 square foot lot. There are 3 criteria in determining the zoning of the project. It proposes a zone that is compatible with the comprehensive plan. It proposes uses that are compatible with the surrounding uses. And the development of this property is in the interest of the public and reasonably necessary because it has to make those frontage improvements and create access for city utilities and have a convenient access to schools, which it does with Endeavor nearby. It also has tried to alleviate the location of the original access for the northern piece for being too close to the intersection of 3rd and Sugar. So as far as correspondence is concerned, the police stated that they would like to request a commitment to fund .03 additional officers and .01 additional support staff. The fire department has stated that this development is located approximately 1.3 miles from Fire Station Number 1 with a response time of 4 minutes. Impact fees collected on this project would be approximately $12,536 at ultimate build-out and would require an increased demand of .02 firefighters. The engineering department lists the utility and right-of-way improvements and also the requirement for the access alignment. These are your conditions of approval, and these are your potential motions. I will stand for any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Christy? I do have a question. I'm sorry. So quick question. 5,000 square feet. Can you go back and help me understand what we're doing with that 5,000 square feet?
There is a duplex proposed on that 5,000 square feet. So the minimum lot area for 2 units is 6,000 square feet. They are requesting a smaller lot size there on the west at 5,098 square feet. Due to the fact that it's a triangle and not a square, it was very difficult to get the extra 1,000 square feet out of that.
Is there any, I know we may not require open space, but is there any open space in anything here for children? Or is it just all parking, pavement, and buildings?
So the open space is going to be incorporated into the first phase.
Can you show us that? It's very difficult to see this and to actually approve something when you can't see what it's being attached to, because we would be approving that, but we can't see what it is.
Yeah, I will try to pull that up for you.
If
here
you
in
would,
a
that
little
would be
bit.
really helpful. And so does that not, did they provide enough open space in that to compensate for this added
So, Mayor
addition to
Kling,
it?
I believe that they provided open space in Phase 1, but at the time that they submitted for Phase 1, we didn't actually have an open space requirement. And so I would doubt that the percentage is large enough to incorporate both, but I don't know that.
Okay, so is there a requirement for open space on this one?
Short plats do not require open space because there's typically not enough area.
Okay. So,
Mayor?
yes.
Comment.
Yes. Is it a question or a comment that'll come after the public hearing?
Comment after the public hearing. I'll hold.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I'm the bad guy tonight.
No, you're officiating well.
There we
We
go.
appreciate it.
Okay, are there any other questions before we go to public hearing? And thank you for seeing what you can find, and we'll come back
Okay,
and address those.
thank you.
Thank you, okay?
Madam Mayor, there is no one signed up in advance for this item.
Okay. Is there anyone here that had intended to testify this evening on this matter? So I'm really curious who this group is back here. What are you guys here for? There's a whole group of you. Are you here for something later? Uh-huh. You, towing later. Okay, I am so sorry. Oh, good grief. I'm so sorry. Thank you. There's a group of you. Okay. So is there anyone here that had intended to testify on this particular matter tonight? Seeing none. Okay, so this is an opportunity to come back to the applicant and see if you have any closing remarks and if you have any questions for the applicant. Thank you. Any questions for the applicant?
Mayor,
Yes.
I've got 2.
Okay.
And it's right on your coattails, the second one, so I'm glad you prepped the well for that. But the first is, you said you had 9 neighbors signed up for your public hearing or your neighborhood meeting. What was the theme of questions that you received or concerns at that public meeting or the neighborhood meeting?
Councilmember Griffin, Mayor, I recall the neighborhood meeting that we had for this particular project, and it was the gentleman that currently resides in the house was the only one that attended. It was me and my cohort taking notes for me that was at that meeting. So he didn't really ask any questions too much. Wondered why we were in his driveway.
Well, and the only reason I asked, on that sheet, I had seen you and your other person had signed in at 3232, and then it said 9 additional individuals were there, but they didn't sign up, so that's where I was curious.
I probably scrawled a 1.
I apologize. Resident of 9 South Sugar
Oh, there we
attended, so
go.
that's the one. Okay. And then my second question, viability-wise, because I'm right there with Mayor, I'd like to see green space in the project. If we removed building number 4, does that affect your ability for this project to move forward if that's something that we put in our development agreement?
Mayor, Councilmember Griffin, that absolutely would destroy the financial viability of this project. However, if we can find our original Phase 1, I'm sorry I didn't bring a slide with me tonight, but it's a much larger piece of land where we have in excess of 14,000 square foot lots. It's much larger, so there's a lot more open space that we've been able to provide for in between the buildings that's accessible for everybody in both developments. We believe we've provided adequate spaces to do that. Primarily up at the projects. I'm going to say northeasterly corner through that area, and you see the large areas in between those buildings. We've got a landscape plan that's prepared for that, along with some amenities that the owner intends to provide, primarily like seating areas and barbecue areas, and I think we had a gazebo in there as well.
Has that been completed already? I know the phase one was, are we just approved and they haven't started build on that? I must have missed the lapse there.
Mayor, Councilmember Griffin, yes, that project was approved. Its development is waiting on the second phase.
Okay.
Because you see the intersection from the roadway down to the project's southeasterly boundary, so to speak. It was too close, and so there's a lot of discussion when the council originally approved this project. They allowed they allowed it to stay unless we could find an access through a different project. So we immediately reached out to buy this project to move our entrance to meet those safety requirements then.
So, final comment, Mayor, and I know because this is already an approved application, we're looking at the second phase right now. I would strongly urge, knowing that we're looking at this second project, that is green space. I know we didn't set that condition prior, that the owner and you being the liaison for him, make that known that that's important to the city, that we do have that in there if we do approve this second phase.
Mayor, Councilmember Griffin, it was absolutely developed with a whole full-on landscape plan that was designed for it with the amenities shown on it prior to its approval. So no more building can occur. We're not altering more parking. We've even preserved a place in that particular development to have future garages if it was necessary. So it's a pretty well thought out design.
Are there any other questions? Councilman Bills, do you have any questions?
Oh, I have comments.
You have comments?
I'll wait.
Are they comments that would actually impact his design that he should be aware of now?
No.
Nope, okay. So any other questions for the applicant? Any other closing comments?
Nope, I think I've said my piece. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So I'm a little hesitant to close public hearing. I guess I do have a quick question for Christy before we do. Christy, can you show, I think I'm seeing it maybe, where if there is open space in the other subdivision, how would people access that other subdivision? Where is the access point that is provided to where the open space would actually apply and be usable for this?
So, Mayor, if you follow, this has got a lot of line work on it, so
It
it might be
does.
kind of hard to see. This is the access here, and there will be sidewalks connecting the two phases to one another. There's also a crosswalk, a painted crosswalk here that shows curb to curb to the sidewalk, and they will go up into, there's open space here, and then as you move further this direction, there is open space up between those two buildings. So there will be sidewalk connectivity between the two phases with painted crosswalks. They're showing painted crosswalks here.
So is there any safety concern? That is right next to the entrance to a subdivision that has how many people, how many individual units? And Daniel, I think maybe you're thinking about making a comment there.
So Mayor, this, the traffic volumes we're talking about here, these are very low volume drive aisles for what we would be talking about. I would not see any safety concerns with, internal pedestrian traffic within the development. Obviously, we will review the specific, sidewalks and that type of things. Those have been reviewed with the the construction drawings, and I don't see any concerns of that nature.
Thank you. Are there any other questions, comments? David?
No, but if you want comments ahead of closing the public hearing.
As long as they don't, as long as we don't have to reopen public hearing, if we're going to require something of the applicant, that would be my,
Well, let me,
Let's go ahead,
let me
yeah.
make a comment. One is, I don't think the alignment in this situation is necessity to be hard and fast, and so I think the condition of approval of one would be removed. I see more green space on this than the little plat that was approved by council on Lone Star 2 or 3 meetings ago, where there was basically no green space on that. So with the addition of the adjacent to the other project with green space, but even this has green space on it. The setbacks are greater on this. So from a consistency point of view, I would think we would remove the alignment issue and that we would approve the development.
so no, you're not asking our developer to do anything, right?
I'm not.
Okay.
You know, I mean, if there's a rebuttal or something, but I don't, I mean, this has been approved on the other piece. You look at the projects that are built all around this. This is infill. You know, I think you have to work with the topography and the shape of the ground, and I think this is a benefit.
Okay. So with that, I would stand, unless there's another question, I'd stand for a motion to close public hearing.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so with those comments, where would you like to go?
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, thank you, Christy, we're not quite there. There you go.
So I move to approve the subdivision short plat approval and zoning map amendment from R8 to RD zoning district for Sierra Meadows Addition subdivision at 9 South Sugar for Centurion Engineers, David Crawford representing Alejandro Chaparro, SPS 0056-2023 and ZMA 0012182-2023 with all conditions except item 1, requiring that alignment on the entry listed in the staff report and to adopt the proposed findings of approval as stated in the staff.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Chingula. Reynolds.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Bills.
Yes.
Excuse me.
And Councilman Haverfield abstained, so I
Is
believe motion
abstaining.
passed,
Motion
correct?
carries, yes.
Thank you. Okay, that's good. Okay, so before we move to public hearings 8.3 and 8.4, I feel like I would like to go back and address, so these dear people don't have to sit through 2 more public hearings, and I'm so sorry. So let's go ahead. We've gone through action item, let me think about this, 7.1, 7.2. Let's go to new business item 7.3. Thank you. Lieutenant Don Peck, appreciate you being here, and I'll read this action. It's to authorize the mayor to sign a contract for the disabled, abandoned, seized, and evidentiary vehicle towing agreement with Code Red Towing. This contract does not appropriate any funds and is only setting a pricing structure. It was approved and reviewed and approved by our city attorney, Todd Lakey. Thank you so much for being here. Go for
Yes,
it.
Mayor, Council.
Yes.
Crossroads Towing has served the city wonderfully for approximately 18 years. We've had a recent influx of blights of trailers, campers, and RVs that are abandoned on our streets. The problem with those comes that when the tow companies have to dispose of those, they're not the same as an abandoned car. An abandoned car they can sell for scrap and they can get monies back. These larger trailers, campers, RVs, they have to expend monies to dispose of those. So there needed to be a recourse for the tow companies to come back to the city to help offset some of those costs. We did sound out to all of the tow companies on our tow rotation that had not been suspended or had violations in the last 2 years, a request for pricing. We received 4 responses back. One of those was from a tow company stating that they thanked us for putting this out. However, they were not able to bid because their facility wouldn't take it. You can see in the report, there were 3 companies that did send in proposals, Nesmith, Crossroads, and Code Red. Code Red does offer us the best pricing on the salvage of trailers and RVs. That was the major deciding factor when looking at the different pricing structures to look at for us. And I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions?
Mayor,
Yes.
can you explain to me the process when we come upon a vehicle that is abandoned? Do we check VIN numbers to find the registered owner? How do we go about finding the registered owner? I just have a hard time that we might be setting a precedent that if you leave your junk on the street, don't worry, the city's going to foot the bill and have somebody tow it for you.
Councilman Griffin, yes. So we check all of those things. By code, we have to make an attempt to try to contact the company or the owner if there is one that we can find via telephone. We do have to try to do some efforts. If not, then the tow company comes out. The tow company, we have to file a notice of intent for disposal and mail that to the registered owner. And if there's a lien holder, we mail that to the lien holder as well. I can't recall the exact timeframes that the tow companies have to hold those for, but they have a certain period of time for the owners to come and recover the vehicle, and then they can dispose of it at that point.
Follow up, and this might have to be for Todd. If somebody is a registered owner on a trailer or an RV, are we able to send them to collections for the amount the city's about to have to pay to dispose of their trash? Are we able to do that as a municipality for things that are left on the streets? I think it's necessary. I want to see the junk removed, but I don't want it to be on the taxpayer's dollar and set a precedent, scratch out those VINs and leave them on Smith and we'll get rid of them.
Mayor, Councilman Griffin, to be fair, most of the people who are leaving those on the street are not ones that are going to have the resources for us to recoup. But I would defer to Todd if we could.
I would agree, but I'd like to take a hit on their credit report or something that is, maybe it doesn't matter. In my mind, it's an effort made by the city to say, hey, we're trying to collect if we're having to collect from taxpayers to recoup it anyway.
Madam Mayor and Councilmember Griffin, I'm not sure if we can, but I think I can say that what we're doing now doesn't change whatever we have currently. And we can this is just simply a new contract with a different company at different rates. But if that's something we don't have in code, that's something we can take a look at.
Are there any other questions?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion
Okay.
to authorize you to sign the contract for disabled, abandoned, seized, and evidentiary vehicle towing agreement with Code Red Towing LLC.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Mayor.
Question.
I'm sorry.
No,
we don't.
It's not a public hearing.
It's
This is
not
an
a
action
public
item.
hearing. No, I'm sorry, it's not a public hearing.
I'm just wanting to clarify that, so.
Thank you. It is not a public hearing, so I'm sorry. Okay, so there's been a motion to authorize the mayor to sign a contract. I just want to double check. So needless to say, our packet includes all the pricing structure, and a decision was based, and the recommendation came forward based on that information. Is there anything else we should be considering?
Madam Mayor and council members, there isn't a requirement that this type of contract, it's a contract for services under the state procurement code. And my understanding is you're well under the $75,000 threshold, which would require you to pursue the 3 bids and whatnot. It sounds like they went through that process on their own, but that was above what was required based on the potential cost to the city.
Okay, thank you. So I would say, I know there may be some comments that someone may desire to make. So we have our comment period at the beginning of the council meeting where you could come forward and share on an agenda item or non-agenda item. And since that's passed, it is not a public hearing. And then there's also, knowing that this is taking place, an opportunity to provide written comment. that we can also take into consideration. So unfortunately, we don't take comment tonight at this time because it's not a public hearing. So I do apologize. That could be frustrating, but it is, we stay very standard in our process. So with that, unless there's further discussion, roll call.
Rodriguez.
I'm very hesitant to make a decision on this since there's a gentleman here that wants to say something. So I'm going to say no.
Mills.
Yes.
Haverfield. Griffin.
Yes.
Jingula.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
5 in favor, 1 opposed, motion carries.
So I will make a quick comment. It would be very difficult because if tonight we open the door for a comment, then I need to open a door for a comment from everyone. And so that is very difficult because we try to set things in motion, right, to where you can provide written documentation, you can come early and you can testify, but it also sets the precedent for what we do in any other meeting. So I do apologize because I know you'd like to share something, but at this time, with all due respect, I do apologize. Okay, and I'm sorry because I'm not sure who shared that, and then, okay, is that correct, do you know?
Yes, however, I didn't necessarily say it at this time.
Okay. You know what, well, I'm not sure what to do with it other than it is what it is. Todd, any comments?
Madam Mayor, I guess it is what it is. The individual did have the opportunity to sign in regarding items on the agenda as far as the public comment period.
Okay. So, oh, okay. Okay. So Shar said that we did close public forum because there were so many already signed up, that there were 4. There was room for another one on an agenda item because they were non-agenda, but he could have spoken, yeah, earlier. And it is on the agenda. You know, in this case, please feel free to send a written communication to both the police department and to city council, because we have taken the vote. So you're welcome to send some written communication, and we'll follow up from there. So with that, we're going to go to 7.4, and that way we're done with new action items. And this is an action item. This is the facilities request for funding to complete the Hugh Nichols Public Safety Building flooring replacement project, and authorize the mayor to sign a contract amendment for the additional work to complete the Hugh Nichols Public Safety Building flooring replacement project based on the options detailed in the staff memo. With that, Patrick, are you wanting to come forward, and council, it's in your packet, there may be some questions. You have a question? You know what, why don't we just go ahead and, Dale, I think Councilman Reynolds has a question, Councilman Bills has a question, so Patrick, I think we're just going to start with some questions, and
Okay.
then we'll move forward from there.
Okay.
So Councilman Reynolds.
So having previewed this for quite some time, I'm in favor of the tile and the PD, and I know that that's what the chief would like to have. And it makes sense to have a 30-year floor versus a 10-year lifespan floor with the carpet option. The thing I don't like about this is it seems like this whole particular contract was kind of handled poorly from the beginning. And now we're to this place where we're asking for a big change order. My preference is that we put this out, RFP, put it out to bid, and if my math is correct on this, of the square footage and the price quoted, we're at about $26 a foot. And we do projects like this all the time, and we're anywhere between $15 and $19 a square foot. With epoxy grout wasn't part of this RFP or part of this spec. That would save the city roughly, $19 a foot, save the city roughly $34,000. And I would like to see this put out to bid. That's my comment.
Thank you for your comment. Councilman Bills?
Well, my frustration with this, and I appreciated Patrick's time when we sat down and looked at it, is that council originally budgeted in the 92,000, approved the 99,000, and the project grew without council's knowledge to 120,000. And then a lot of time is lost, work is done, and then the work isn't acceptable, and the design spec's not acceptable. And now we're asked to approve a $257,000 project. So council, it moves from a 92,000 budget to 257,000 budget, still with one contractor. I would concur with Councilman Reynolds that while it seems like the contractor is capable and willing and been sitting on the sidelines, this is a expense that has really grown and kind of seems like it's off the rails. And it seems like it needs to get pulled back together. It's going to require the budget amendment, and it's difficult. And as much as we want to take care of the building and get the building floor done, et cetera, it seems getting it bid out would be an appropriate from a standpoint of knowing whether we're making the right expenditure. That's my comments. Thank you, Mayor.
Good comments. And I will say, projects like this, which I don't disagree with you, that it expanded in scope without our knowledge, and even without my knowledge. And needless to say, we've made some changes, and Patrick wasn't here overseeing this at the time, and so he has inherited this. The architect that was overseeing this project is no longer with the city, and did expand the project without authorization to expand the project, as it's called scope creep. And so that did happen. And I agree with you. From a budgetary standpoint, those are the authorizations we need to have, not having something get enlarged without approval and figuring that they would fund it from I'm not sure where, probably other projects. So with that, if that is the will of the council, I support.
If I can interject, my comments weren't directed at you, Patrick, in handling this deal. I know you've picked up the pieces, you've been handling it, so I don't want my intensity isn't directed towards you. You're just in the gap at the moment.
Well, we've taken corrective actions, and so Patrick, and that's why I want to make sure you're absolved of this one, because you were not responsible for this project and where it went at all.
Mayor Kling?
Yes.
So I just want to confirm a couple of numbers here. The 261,010 is going to be, for example, the carpet tile costs over 30 years. That's not going to be charging 261 now. Or are you going, or you want the full amount for that?
Mayor and Councilman Rodriguez, that was just an example of the initial carpet install, since we already have bare floor would be $50,897. And if we're comparing it over a 30-year period, then the two subsequent projects on year 10 and year 20 would be the other two numbers with a total amount over 30 years for carpet of 261,010.
Right. So these amounts have not increased, or have they increased over 30 years? I don't even know how that works.
We ran Mayor and Councilman Rodriguez, we ran an algorithm to take into account 4% of inflation per year, and basically amortize it out for 10 years and then 20, and then took it again and then amortized that out another 10 years.
So the 99,000 is what you need to change, or we need to fix the floor with right now, not 260-something thousand.
No,
right?
No, it's the two.
Still is.
57,000. Last
Total,
they
total
paid
project
100.
cost for tile, not carpet.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, it still is. I know, I just want to confirm.
So it's an additional 132,000, is that correct?
Yes, for the tile, Mayor, it would be 132,662, and I put in a contingency just in case, because I didn't want to just be hanging out there and not have a contingency. And then I gave a second option for carpet only, which would be an additional 50,897. Hopefully, we won't need the contingency in either case. We're happy to put this out to competitive bid for the two options. One thing I would note, however, is we already are obligated by our project manager signing off on these, on the existing work that's been completed, where we need to be able to pay off wall-to-wall carpet to bring them current. And that would be the original contract, the two change orders of 10,447, 5,290, and then there's a credit as well. And I don't have that math in here as far as what the exact amount, but we do have a current invoice that we're holding, which does not include their retention in case we go forward with the change order. But they've completed all this work as of February. So they've been sitting, now we're in May. So we are, at some point we need to pay them.
So if we withheld the 4,650, it sounds like they have completed all other work with the exception of they're sitting on a credit. Is that correct?
They're sitting on a credit and some, they're also, we've only paid around $80,000 so far.
Okay.
So
What
there's
work is actually completed that we owe them?
I can walk you through that really quick. Basically, it would be stripping all of the hallway floors, and then sealing the basement hallway floor, and then there's all this additional work that was added on in the
Okay, so
vestibules.
let me ask it separately. They've already done the removal of the floors and the grinding of the floors, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so is the flooring in the elevator, is the additional flooring at elevator vestibules, is that done?
That is correct. That is complete.
Is done. Is the additional flooring at patrol storage? And this is where we had scope creep because these were not initially approved.
That is correct, Mayor.
Is that done?
That is correct.
It's installed and it's done?
Installed and finished, yes.
And done, okay. Then we have a credit that they would owe us back. Is that correct?
And that's for sealing concrete at floors 1, 2, and 3, since
Correct,
they've
and
only
we're
sealed.
no longer sealing them.
Right, so we still would, so their final bill would include that credit.
Okay, so their final bill.
This is
would-
not their final bill because this also, let's see, is it, let's see. Because we have the moving costs in there from another vendor. Because
And
this was representing total project costs.
So were the moving costs incurred? And
The
have we already paid
moving
them?
costs were incurred, yes, and
Okay, we paid
that's
them.
been complete.
Okay,
And we have paid them.
so it sounds like we owe them for these projects that were done, that were scope creep, that we can get the credit back of $4,600, so you don't pay them for that. And then any other, so I guess my thought is, we need to pay them for the work that was done,
Correct.
period?
Yes.
Right, so I
Right.
think,
We need to bring this contract to a close.
okay,
And then we need to deal with the fact that the building is sitting there with unfinished work, but we need to bid it out,
correct.
as Councilman Reynolds has suggested.
Okay, so with that, I think what we need to, I don't know if there needs to be authorization, it's a vote, to pay the vendor
Madam Mayor.
the work that's been done and getting the credit back.
Okay, so at one of the payables reports, that was on there, and Doug and I had a discussion about that, and it was decided to hold that at the time.
Right.
So, yeah, I agree. Let's get them paid off and get the contract finished and then start over fresh.
And ensure that we get the credit back for the work not done. Okay?
That will be detailed. They sent me a statement of account that shows what we paid thus far, shows the three change orders, the 2 for additional work, which was scope creep, and then the credit would be the 3rd change order. and that shows what their total amount is, and I can reconcile that with finance.
Okay, so I don't know if we need a motion to do that. I think we need to just get it done. And then if there were a motion, I would ask for a motion that we don't move forward on this, but and feel free to make the motion.
Oh, okay, I'll make one. Madam Mayor, I would move that we pay the vendor, close the contract of wall-to-wall flooring, and put out an RFP with the spec that's provided in our packet of the Crossville Color Blocks 2.2 porcelain ceramic floor tile, and get this out to bid. And we'll review the bids and take low bid.
Would you specify the amount?
No dollar amount because it's we're going out for RFP.
No, I mean, but we want to pay the vendor.
Yes, I don't know that amount, what we owe.
We can't necessarily agree if we don't know what the amount is.
Well,
Can we?
I think we can, because we have the invoice, and we'll just ensure that the vendor is paid appropriately for the work that was done that we owe him.
Okay.
And get the credit back for work that was not complete.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? Yes.
I would go along with the motion if it included also providing a cost for the carpet as was proposed in here as well as an alternate. Otherwise, I don't know that I'm in support of it being having to be tile, personally.
It's up to you. Okay, so this is where we're going to split hairs. I'm not sure how to resolve that because the motion does not include carpet. And there is a motion and a second on the floor. And so I think what we'll do is we'll go through the motion for tile. And this is making a decision. We're going out for RFP on tile, not carpet. I'll be really candid. I don't know that I would recommend carpet. And in visiting with Chief, carpet, even if you've got a good commercial grade, my understanding is, was it 17,000 trips? How many, Chief, you said this earlier, So, and I'll say this on the mic. So my understanding is in the police department downstairs that the traffic is around 17,000 foot trips in a week. The carpet, the lifespan of the carpet is approximately 10 years. My guess is it won't make it 10 years. The reason that we included the costing on the carpet was just because you're going to have to replace it in 10 years. And that means you've got to tear it out and you've got to go back in. Tile is my understanding, it is the preferred application on the floor because it's durable and it will last the 30 years. And from a cleaning perspective, much less time consuming for facilities to keep that. And you keep it cleaner because you can actually clean the flooring. So that is why that recommendation has come forward. Yes.
Can I ask Councilman Reynolds a question?
Yes. Discussion time.
Would we see a benefit within a 10-year period of just doing this once rather than having to do the carpet twice? Because the tile's supposed to last 30 years, correct? How many times through knowing this and being in the field, how many times do you think we would have to replace the carpet within the same amount of time?
And Patrick could probably answer
Mayor
that
and
for you.
Councilman Griffin, at least 3 times. It could be that with this heavy foot traffic, it could be when I get 7 years. I mean, we would be using a walk-off carpet, which is more durable than this carpet. It would be more like what you see in entryways. So it's just a 24/7 occupied building. There's a lot of use on this building, and as they grow, it's just going to get more people walking on that carpet.
Mayor Kling? So Patrick, the recommendation was because of the lower level having a lot more foot traffic than the upper levels, or all 3 levels expecting the same amount of traffic?
Mayor and Councilman Haverfield, I don't know those metrics. Those metrics are new to me. I just know it's a 24/7 building, with patrol being the 24/7 aspect, and some of the upper levels where they have more administrative offices probably won't get the same
Right.
foot traffic.
And I'm just looking at the stewardship of the dollars that we've been entrusted with and throwing tile at all three levels when maybe it's not needed at the upper levels. I can see it maybe at the lower level. That's why I'm looking at an alternate cost, potentially as a bid alternate approach as well. So again, I'm not going to support the motion if it's tile everywhere. I don't think that it's necessary on those upper levels.
Madam Mayor,
Yes?
and just to comment on Councilman Haverfield's comment, do you have that map, Patrick, you can pull up?
Yeah.
It's mainly the hallways, it's not the admin area, that's all carpet.
So basically,
mainly
this
the high
would be
traffic areas.
the basement. It's the gray areas, is the areas that need floor covering. They're now bare. And then this would be the first floor. This would be the second floor. And I couldn't get the gray to work on this, so it's just this red outline, this little corridor right here. This corridor has tile at this vestibule, and it would make some sense to continue with that. All of the other office areas are closed off from these hallways, so noise is not an issue, but all of these other areas, the office areas, actually have a carpet tile in them.
And one more follow-up, Mayor. And we've already made some mistakes, and not you, Patrick. I appreciate what you're doing here, but with the flooring choice for like the patrol room that was put down, it was there like 2 days, and it looked like it'd been there for 6 years. All the officers wear boots. It's kind of a white color. It looks terrible, and I don't want to see the same mistakes made over and over and over. Let's do it right the first time and be done with it.
So for clarity, these are only corridors that are very high traffic areas. These are not the office areas that are carpet tiles, is that correct? And hopefully we have additional carpet tiles where we can do replacements in certain areas where needed, is that correct? That you can
Mayor, that's correct. As far as replacement, the building's getting of an age that we're going to have to start. It's starting to show up on our capital improvement plan to replace the tile in offices, and we're going to be going for that in multiple phases over the next few years to eventually replace the carpet tile in those areas as they. Right now, it looks we're deferring it for this year, but we might need to start in 26 or 27 with just a phased approach to replace those carpet tiles.
Okay, thank you for providing the clarity that this is strictly the corridors that are high traffic areas.
Mayor,
Yes.
one question if I could, just very briefly. Patrick, do we know how much the value of the work that has been done that we haven't paid for is?
A little over about $30,000.
So they've done approximately 30,000 before the credit. Will they be willing to offset the credit against the work done?
Well, the credit is work that wasn't done, so they're just paying that on the original contract. It was work in the original contract, since they did not seal those 3 floors.
All right.
It's credit.
So if the value of the work remaining is 30,000, that's the approximate amount of the invoice we would have to pay?
Approximately, yes.
Okay.
Mayor Kling?
Yes.
Patrick, are we talking about putting this tile down in the basement level as well?
Mayor and Councilman Haverfield, yes, we are.
Okay. Due to the moisture mitigation issues that you had in that lower level, would the adhesion be an issue? I mean, is it going to breathe adequately with what's being proposed? Or are we going to be looking at potential release of that tile off that floor if moisture still is an issue down there?
Mayor and Councilman Haverfield, we have not had moisture problems since then. One thing we might want to explore on the basement is actually doing some moisture tests, which are, very inexpensive. You just have to buy a few, put them down there, and see if we have anything. If we do want to put tile, and we are concerned with that, there are ways to mitigate that. There's a surface applied, Sika product that a 2-part product that we would put on first. So that we would be able to seal the floor for a resilient surface like tile. But if we did carpet, we wouldn't need to do that. I don't know if we need to, where this is centrally located in the building, I don't know if we really need to to do that, but I think we do need to do the due diligence that we have not done yet and see if there are any, what the moisture level is in that slab.
Right. That would be my concern, is just the, either if you do have to top seal that concrete to be able to provide proper adhesion, if it's not a part of your cost, it can be expensive, depending on how large of an area you're talking about. And so, again, when we start looking at costs just going up, not having at least some sideboards to work with from maybe other areas up above, unless you think your contingency would cover that at that lower level. But that's where I'm concerned. The main and upper levels that are not in contact with the dirt, obviously underneath the building, not as much concerned about, but down there I would be.
Right, and if you recall, the building has a diapered system underneath it, both underside and up the sidewalls. And then we had some failures over in one area where we ended up putting some behind the wall sealant, which has worked, and we haven't seen anything. We also have some test wells out there that are, so we can, with monitors.
You're monitoring the
And
water.
so we're monitoring the water, and we have not had, throughout several seasons now, we have not seen an uptick of moisture in those test wells.
Okay.
So but I think that's a good point, and that's one thing that I had overlooked, so I can add that. Basically, we probably want, prior to going out to bid, we probably just need to get a baseline and do some moisture testing, which, we can do that ourselves.
Mayor?
Yes.
So my recommend would be that if we can adjust this, modify the motion, and would be to bid alternate the lower level, the basement area where there's moisture with carpet. I've experienced what Councilman Haverfield was alluding to. Yes, there's products on the market. They don't all work. And the moisture still comes through even after doing the mitigation. So if we do have a moisture problem, after you do the moisture test, I think we should have that option, or we should direct that option to bid alternate the carpet in that lower level.
Okay. Would you consider that?
Madam Mayor, comment, that would be based on moisture tests that we're going to perform?
Yes.
Also, there's a product, we did a VCT in the ISU building in Meridian. They had a moisture problem. And we put VCT down, and it breathes. It's a newer style of VCT. It has a really high wear pattern to it, and it's there in the college campus. So I think that might be a better option than the carpet if we had to go that way. But I would amend the motion to say a bid alternate if necessary.
Based upon the moisture?
Based upon moisture in the floor.
So I have a question. Are you talking about an LVL product?
Yes.
So that's a floating surface, it's not an adhesive?
No, it was adhered.
So it wasn't over a slip sheet?
Nope.
So it's an alternate, and that's what we're looking for, is just a unit cost. If we can get a unit cost for either the carpet or an LVL product, then at least we have some sideboards we can work with. That's all I'm asking for.
So the motion has been amended to include a bid alternate option.
Unit cost, yes.
Unit cost based upon the moisture test that will be conducted.
No, it's not necessary that the moisture test be a criteria to be able to put together a unit cost or carpet or an LVL product. That's just, again, that's what the cost would be for the product itself, maybe the install.
But we're talking about doing a moisture test, and
You're
that's
still
what
gonna
my
have to do that.
understanding. So in the motion, that it's, that we're going to do a moisture test. So that was just to make sure we've got that. Is that correct?
Mayor,
Moisture test?
They would have to do that anyway. No installer is going to put a flooring down over a basement floor without doing a moisture test.
Yeah, okay, but that's
they
just,
won't
it's just in the, it's just in the motion, is all I'm ensuring, it's just in the motion. So the motion includes that, and does the second, are you willing to
Specifically
amend
just
the
for the basement, correct? Or is it for all levels?
No, just.
basement?
Second.
Okay, so the motion's been revised, and our second has been approved? Yes?
I have some input.
Okay.
Since we're kind of all over the board here, not all over the board, but we have some basic bid alternates that we're talking about. What if we decide that you give me authorization to put together a package with bid alternates, and maybe we have one or more of the council members who have an opinion on this, help guide that scope so that I'm not going out and bringing you back something where we have to go back again.
Madam Mayor, I don't think it's really that tough of a deal.
Okay.
Honestly, my opinion is you have a spec here, put it out to bid with that spec, and put an alternate for carpet tile or vinyl product based on, they can give that to us as an alternate price for the basement only if there is a moisture problem in the basement. Otherwise, it would remain tile to match the rest of the building for consistency.
Okay, with that clarity, I'd like to do roll call.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Chingula,
Yes.
Hills,
Yes.
Haverfield.
I'm not sure I like the motion, how it was presented, but I'll go ahead and support the premise of what we're talking about here.
Griffin,
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
Okay, so that concludes our new business. I would like to pause for a break, then we're going to come back for our, we have 2 public hearings. So we're going to take a 5-minute break, and we'll be right back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thought I'd let you see what that other portion of the
Never a
project
duplicate
is.
meeting.
Thank you.
That's a fairly significant area with a full playground area. Let's look at this out. So that little constricted area was only because having to get this entrance that far back. This project's been on hold forever. That's why I didn't, it kind of caught me off guard that they even brought it in. I went out there, I said, if you would have given me notice, I could have helped you guys, you know, as far as with better presentation
Where did
tools.
you get this?
Closed meeting?
See, and the reason why I said no, I couldn't even understand what it was they were even
know.
bringing forward. I'm
See-
like, I can't even approve that because I don't even know what I'm looking
See,
at.
that's that little triangular piece right
Yes,
there.
This would have been so helpful.
Yeah, originally the entrance was down here, and it was just this portion. This was already approved, but when they started trying to get that back further, it created a condition where they just couldn't get the units down here. The terrain on this is just, I mean, it falls like 10 to 20 feet from here, from up here down to there, along 3rd Street. So anyway, you know, it's a really a nice
I
project.
shook my
Wish I
head at the
could've-
comment.
I know, I wish you could have too, because that's the reason I said, look at it.
I mean, you can see that the amount of open space, green space, you can see how much there is there. It's probably in the 30 to 40% range. So again, it's meant to be nice housing and a nice development in an area that needs it.
Yeah. No, it is a good
But what he
project.
said, this is already under development. By the time they were able to get this purchased and configured, I mean, I did this 6 to 9 months ago. This little portion of this has been done for quite a while. So anyway, I thought you might want to see
No,
that.
that's helpful, thank you.
Yeah.
No, Brett. Brett? Yeah, and he's good friends with.
I went out in the hallway and I told those guys, you would have let me know. I could have helped you with better graphics on that little triangular shape piece that we were concerned about right here. Because I did this.
Is it started out as a $92,000 budget item,
I don't know,
Because I'm looking
and they did bid.
because you had a civil engineer present.
Nine, so council approved, so I went back and looked.
I haven't,
it.
yeah, that's the project.
And it does have a little.
Then they do all
Oh, yeah, I mean, you look at the amount of open space that's through here, it's probably in the 30 to 40%.
$120,000, $125,000.
Oh, I know. Well, it's a civil engineer that was presenting that little triangular piece. Well, what was originally conceived was, and approved, was that entrance was right here. But it was too close to the intersection, so at least we were able to get it back, but it really constricted what could be done here.
One corridor.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the concrete in the facility and that
When I saw that, I thought, I wish I could, I'm just biting my lip.
got massive cracks in the corridors and through the rooms, so the carpet tiles hit all that. Well, now you stain it.
Well, that's what I went out and.
What does it look like? It looks like
If you would have.
you're in an old warehouse. And you walk through.
Yeah, but I can't pull it up because it's
Quit the sanding.
not allowed to.
Stop the
Yeah.
staining.
Yeah,
Because all of a sudden there's this, don't like.
by some people.
And so, and it was, well, okay, we'll do this change deal and all that. Well, that came into play and into the front. And it's like, hold it. This is ridiculous. So the presentation given last week had this thing up high in colors and confusing, and it wasn't clear. So when I was down on an issue to talk with Christie, Patrick grabbed me and said, hey, can you come down and let's visit? So I went in there. Well, here's all the info, and I'm going, Patrick, I'm confused. You got to get this thing. You got to get this where it's very clear, which is where he got to then say, council, do you understand? You started at 92, you went to 99. The previous building person obligated the city to 125. Now they want to go to 250,000 or for the ceramic. That's what the contract. So that's what. So from my perspective, it should go back out to bid, and you get multiple bids, even if it kills the budget. Right now, the whole semblance of the thing is the former employee
No. For what?
Thank you for clarifying that. Oh, you were?
Okay, we are ready to get started again. Thank you all for the pause. Okay, so the order that we're going to go through public hearing 8.3, public hearing 8.4, and then we will move to staff reports. So, and I don't think we've missed anything else. So we're ready to move forward on public hearing 8.3. This is an action item. This is a zoning code amendment of Title 10, Chapter 23, Section 8, adding items L&M for prohibited signs related to advertising illegal activity and the sales of controlled substances for the city of Nampa. And it says ETA-00040-2024. Staff report, Christy, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Christy Watkins, Principal Planner for the City of Nampa. As stated, we are just looking at items L and M to be added to the prohibited sign list in the sign code. L would state any sign advertising illegal activity, and then it indicates that it would be a misdemeanor as per our enforcement code. And then 1023-8M, any sign advertising an establishment that sells a controlled substance or drug paraphernalia, as such terms are defined in Idaho Code Section 372701. Again, misdemeanor as per our enforcement code. This language was drafted by our city attorney. Staff finds that all of the criteria for changing code has been met, and these are your potential motions. I will stand for any questions.
Love it.
Good job.
Are there any questions from council regarding these signs? Any comment? Natalie?
I do, but it can wait until we're done with public hearing. Either way.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Public
It is a
hearing. I
public hearing.
forgot that piece. Okay, so thank you, Christy. If there are no questions, let's move to public hearing.
Okay,
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, there is no one signed up in advance, but my understanding that there is someone in the audience that would like to speak.
Thank you. Please feel free to come forward. Thank you for sharing your name and address. And as you probably already know, you do have 3 minutes, so thank you for joining us.
Yeah, so my name is Brent Flam, and my address is 3711 East Holly Ridge Drive. And I just wanted to comment in support of the actions you're taking on this. It's something I've communicated with Councilwoman, I can't say her last name. And I've also communicated with all the different state representatives I possibly could in the state. And the House took up a bill, and then the Senate squished it, unfortunately. And so I'm just glad that our city's considering what I see as what's best for our community, regardless of waiting on actions of other government entities or other organizations. So I appreciate all the work that many people have done on this, and I hope it's resolved soon. So thank you.
Thank you. It's very refreshing to hear that testimony. Thank you. Is there anyone else here that had intended to testify on this particular matter? Seeing none, I would stand for a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? What is the will of the council?
Mayor, I just want to say that Citizen Brent, it was so great because he reached out. This was on October 23rd. I went back through my emails, communications, and he brought this to my attention. I don't know, he may have reached out to other council members. I can only speak for myself, but he had reached out in concern of the hot box billboards that are being all around Nampa and just all over the valley, and wondering why that's allowed when we don't allow, like that's not legal here, right? So why is this allowed here? And I sat on it and I thought, this could be an infringement on freedom of speech. So I just didn't really know. So I reached out to Todd and we kind of just started collaborating that way and with Shar. And then we were able to just move this forward and get it into discussion. And the thing that I love about this so much is, as elected officials, I feel oftentimes people don't know that they have so much of a voice, or they can't really feel that they have a voice. But being able to work with Brent on this and collaborate, and then just kind of through the process and informing him that this is the steps we're taking and this is the action that's being done, and working it through the planning and zoning and all of the things, that this is like a true testament of what our office does and how we work with the citizens. Is, I have to say, I'm super naive. I didn't even know what the hot box signs were. And so when he brought that to my attention, I had no idea. But because we had a concerned citizen that said, this is a concern, and we as a body took charge and said, this is concerning, and we care about our citizens, we care about our community, and we want to make sure that we have a safe space for our kids, that we're marketing appropriate materials. And that's really important. And the fact that the legislator didn't get it done, but the city of Nampa is getting it done. And we get to be the ones that are pioneering this effort here in Idaho. And it just took one citizen coming forward and saying, I'm concerned about this. And it took us listening that we were able to get that action taking place. So I want to thank you, Brent, so much, and for your patience in working with us throughout this process. But thank you for reaching out, because this is you pioneered this. So I appreciate you. Thank you.
So with that, would you like to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve the zoning code amendment of Title 10, Chapter 23, Section 8, adding items L and M for prohibited signs related to advertising illegal activity and to the sales of controlled substances for the city of Nampa, ZTA-00040-2024.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded multiple times. And discussion, I would like to just make a comment. Thank you, because we actually have had this discussion for several years, and we haven't moved forward on it, but it's been concerning. And this is where a citizen, and this is where it needs to come from, a citizen that spoke up, a council member that listened. Thank you. I really appreciate it. This is great. So thank you so much. And if there are no other comments, roll call.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Bills.
Yes.
Everfield.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Kula.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie, and thank you for staying so late this evening. Thank you very much. Okay, so now we're moving on to 8.4. This is an action item. This is the public hearing to approve the proposed FY24 budget amendment. And so when we get done with that, then we'll move forward. But Doug, we'll start with you in the staff report.
I will take only as long as you want me to take on this. The budget amendment is fairly concise comparative with priors. We have developed a more refined process. If a budget amendment is $5,000 or $10,000, we're generally not going to include it unless it's brand new spending for a grant or something like that. If it's for larger values and there's a question of whether or not it can get done in the current year, we're deferring until a potential amendment in August. So we're trying to streamline this. The totality of the budget amendment for '24 is $19,310,000 and $443. That's broken down between new items of $14 million, and I'll go through that in a moment, and rollover expenses of $4.789 million, adding up to 19.3. The biggest items are, of course, in the new spending, where we have the general gov for $4.9 million. That's the land we purchased out by the water treatment plant. We have an irrigation repair that was one of those emergent things that needed to be put in. We're reflecting, this is new spending, it was already approved in the budget, but the NPD operation, the union association we agreed on last year, because of the way we created it, where we were using monies from contingency and from this year's interest income, we had to put it in here to reflect that moving into the police budget. That's the $1.5 million. Wastewater has a $549,000 expense at Midway and Middleton. And then there are other fund balance spends and small amounts other than the street impact fees at Franklin Industrial, the Phyllis Canal, and I can't read because I've got something blocking it, and Karcher and Franklin ITD, that's $3.6 million, but that's impact fees we're bringing into the budget. And for clarity, when we budget impact fees, we only budget the amount we're going to spend, not the amount we're going to bring in impact fees. So we let it accumulate, and we only reflect the budget when we spend it. Going down to the rollover, fairly straightforward impact fees for the Brent Park Phase 2, another small project, $2.5 million. The PD Bearcat, we approved that, it seemed like 2 years ago. We're still waiting to get it. And then other small projects as listed. I can go into the details here. The other big one is the clubhouse remodel at the Centennial. That adds up to the total of the $19.3 million. It's worth noting that the last amendment last year was over $50 million, and it was significant, and I was asked not to do that again unless it was absolutely necessary. So this is a much smaller amendment, and I believe it captures the intent of recognizing just what we need to bring in. My philosophy with the departments is I would rather bring new spending forward in an amendment than put it in the budget if they're not sure if it's going to get done. So that way we're not over budgeting when we do the original budget and then re-budgeting again as a rollover. Are there questions or details, or the councilors would like me to go into more specific? Oh, we do have one other aspect we need to talk about, I think very briefly. The Cultural Center has its amendment in here. Let's see where it's at. Yep. Number 7. Okay, right. So that's broken into two components. The total is $409,000, but that includes $100,000 of new revenue and $298,000 of expenses, both incurred and anticipated for the remainder of the year. I have details if anybody would like to look at that, but we basically took the 6 months actual expenditures, annualized them out, then we met with Peter and myself, met with Patrick, and we walked through each line item that had an impact to see if we're budgeted correctly, or if we needed to make adjustments, if there were expenses we didn't know about that were coming in that would alter it, and we made 2 or 3 adjustments, but it is relatively small compared to what we anticipated, only $298,000, and probably at least 2/3 of that is going to be the repairs and maintenance put into the building. Questions? Would you like any more details?
Mayor Kling. So on that topic, as far as, do you know, to get that building up, being operational with the kitchen being fully usable, what the full amount we're going to need to look at putting into that building to bring it up to that level of use? I know
it's not going to solve every existing problem out there, but the intent was to make this more or less operational and functional so that Jose could drive this into a profitable enterprise. But let's look at the repair and maintenance. And I've got details if you want these. Most of this is in your packet. We spent for the first 6 months $97,000. We anticipate spending another $153,000 on repairs and maintenance. So that should cover most all the essential, the safety items, the security items. It will not fix every single thing. So if we have more, that may come back as a request in the fall amendment. If we find something that's greater on the HVAC, they keep finding little things. but this is intended to make them operational, but not solve every problem.
So Doug, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So is there an associated list with costs associated with that of priority needs to be taken care of from
Yeah,
a liability
Patrick-
standpoint?
We've gone, Peter and I went through that with Patrick. I don't have it right here, but I can get it for you. It basically outlines the 3 or 4 specific items we know that we need to pay for. They're high-cost items. By high cost, we're talking $15,000, $20,000 per item or per event. And the rest of it is an extrapolation of what we've spent in the first part of the year, saying, okay, we probably need some for little things. And I believe the kitchen was included in there. There was some HVA things, HVAC items. What's not included in there, I know, is the new security system. So that's not in there for right now, but so we're looking at a more of a citywide solution to that rather than just an HCC problem.
I would, personally, I'd like to see that list, and if I can look over your shoulder, or Patrick's shoulder.
Oh, certainly.
Looking at that, I'd
Certainly.
like to see what is anticipated coming forward.
Yeah.
And what
There's,
still needs
like
to
I
be
said,
done.
2 or 3 larger items that make up the chunk of the $153,000. But the rest of this is fairly standardized. There's nothing unusual about it. We're taking, there's the salaries for Jose, and then there's electricity, natural gas, sanitation, those types of bills that are easily extracted. So this one line here is the line where you want to focus your attention.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, could I ask Doug one question about the cultural center? Do you have, have we brought in any money at all? I don't.
Yes, we have. If you look right here through the 6 months, we have 44,000, and this is, we've received more since then, but we've received $44,000 in lease income and $5,000 in donations and sponsors. So that's just in the first 6 months of the year. So yes, and I believe if Jose does what he's planning to do, that will accelerate.
Thank you. Mayor Kling?
Yes.
I'd like to state, too, that I'm actually working with an entity that's utilizing a portion of the building for office purposes, so it is a nice incubator building for spin-off businesses that are looking to expand here in Nampa.
Right.
And so they are very pleased with the changes that have been made.
Now, this $298,000 of expense would be coming out of the lump sum capital reserve we made last year of $936,000. So far, we haven't pulled anything else out of that. That was one of the budgetary items we put together at the end. We said we anticipate some projects as yet undefined. So we put it into a lump sum for the council to approve and decide on. That's where the $298,000 will come from for the expenses.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Doug? So if there are none, this is a public hearing, and so we will open public testimony at this time.
Madam Mayor, no one signed up in advance for this item.
Is there anyone here that would like to testify?
Brent?
No. So, okay, with that, I don't see anyone wanting to testify.
I'd make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. What is the will of the council?
Make a motion to approve the budget amendments.
Second.
Presented.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ingula?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Haverfield?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
Hills?
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
Doug, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
So there is no unfinished business this evening.
We have to do the first reading of the ordinance.
Oh, I forgot. I'm sorry. I'm sitting here looking at it. We already talked about it. So we do have an action item, and this is the first reading of ordinance adopting the FY24 budget amendment that you are going to read, and then it is asked to approve under suspension.
So moved.
Well, she'll read it first, but
Oh,
thank
sorry.
you. You're good. No, we're ready to get done.
An ordinance of the City of Nampa, Idaho,
Let's roll.
amending the appropriations ordinance for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2023, and ending September 30th, 2024, appropriating additional monies that are to be received by the City of Nampa, Idaho, and providing an effective date.
And David, would you like to do your motion again under suspension of rules?
So moved. Under suspension of rules.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Roll call.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Chingula.
Yes.
Haverfield.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Bills.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
Thank you, Shar. So with that, there is no unfinished business, but we do have 2 staff reports this evening. And so I'll go in the order that they were listed, and we'll start with Rodney Ashby.
Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, and then
Council.
Crystal.
I'll be quick. Rodney Ashby, Planning and Zoning Director for the city. This is your first quarter density report for 2024. Just as a reminder, preliminary plats are developments that are anticipated to be built roughly 3 to 7 years out. So you can see those here in the last year, the ones that have been approved. A little closer view of the northern section of our community. And then the southern section. And then the specific numbers. This is slightly more units approved by this time last year, but significantly less than in 2022. In 2023, 384 multifamily units and 620 single-family residential units had been approved in the previous 12 months. Okay, now we're moving on to final plats. And final plats are anticipated to be built out roughly 1 to 3 years from approval. Here's the northern section and the southern section. And as has been the case in the last couple of quarters, you've seen that these developments have been kind of spread out more than they have in the past, which I think is a good thing. A lot of these are infill developments. So that's a good thing where we're already providing services. We approved significantly less final plat residential units this year than in the previous year. This time last year, 88 multifamily units and 1,114 single-family units had been approved through final plats in the previous 12 months. 2023's numbers were significantly less than 2022's. And then finally, these are really small. The short plats are generally much smaller and are anticipated to be the quickest turnaround for building, usually pretty quick, within a year or so. So there's a little just closer view of that. And in 2023, quarter 1, we had approved 66 multifamily units and 8 single-family units through the short plat process in the previous 12 months, so significant decrease from the previous year. Do you have any questions?
Comment?
Yeah.
Really appreciate the information.
Good.
I do have a question. I'm so sorry that it's even on record. When somebody sells their home to another buyer and they're in an enclave area, are they automatically annexed into the city, or do they carry that enclave over with them?
They carry the enclave over with them. Enclave just simply means that it's surrounded by city. It doesn't necessarily have to be touching, but it's surrounded by the city. So that remains in the county. Very, very, very rarely do we push an annexation on somebody. If there is a annexation agreement in place, for instance, when we've provided utilities to a development in the past, we typically will require that they be annexed at time of they're contiguous with the city, but that's pretty much it. Okay.
Thank you for this report. It's really interesting, and I appreciate the comparison to the prior year. So what I think I heard you say, across the board, we are, would that be correct, significantly less than we were
the only
prior
one that
year?
was not significantly less were the preliminary plats, and those were just slightly more.
Slightly more, okay. Thank you, Rodney. Appreciate it. Thank you. So Crystal, as Crystal comes up and gets started, Laura Creech, it's good to see you. It's been a long time since you've been here. Thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you. Crystal, this is going to be a great update, worth waiting for.
That's right. You saved the best for last.
I wish the whole city, I don't know how many people are going to get to see this, but we'll put it in our newsletter because it's pretty cool.
We've got a really quick update for you. Mayor and council members. Also great news. 2 weeks ago, week ago-ish, we had the APWA, so the Public Works Association Rocky Mountain Awards, and I wanted to share results. So the first is the APWA Leader of the Year. This went to our very own Jeff Barnes. The purpose of this award is it recognizes the outstanding career service achievements of an individual in the public works professional with a primary focus on career service to the public works profession. So it's pretty amazing that Jeff was awarded. I couldn't imagine it going to a better person for his work, not only in transportation, but now in our water resources section. The next one is Public Works Project of the Year. We also swept that category. This was established to promote excellence in the management and administration of public works projects. It recognized the alliance between a managing agency and a consultant architect engineer and the contractor who, working together, complete public works projects. We were awarded the Public Works Project of the Year in the project's more than $3 million category for the wastewater treatment plant project Group F upgrades. Next one, continuing on with our winning streak, was the Technical and Management Innovation Award. This goes to an individual, team, or organization for the development, management, and implementation of a creative idea, device, process, or system that enhances the goals of public works in serving the public and protecting the environment. This went to our Integrated Command Center and our Traffic Management Center. And last but not least, the Exceptional Performance Award for Journalism went to the Public Works Magazine. This recognizes organizations in the several areas, including journalism and outstanding contributions in the course of performance, raising the level of public awareness to the profession. APWA Rocky Mountain encompasses 3 different states, so Idaho, Wyoming, and Montana. There are 6 awards given out at this. Nampa won 4 of the 6. Wow. And I will say the other 2 awards went to Idaho agencies as well. So Idaho is doing amazing things in public works, and it feels really great to get that recognition. And Nampa had a very strong presence, and I think we were represented well.
We have a great team.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second portion of this, if you guys don't have comments on the awards, in your packet is also the wastewater treatment plant monthly updates. I'm not going to speak to that, but if you have questions, please let us know.
And then coming next time, maybe it's June, because next time we won't have a staff report.
June
is the rodeo.
Yep, we'll report out on our heavy equipment rodeo.
Yeah, which is just incredible. Yeah. And no pictures of babies.
Well.
She had one earlier.
Well, it's on public record. There they are.
Oh.
Yeah, representing their Nampa Street division.
That is so cute. Oh, my goodness.
They are 5 months old today.
5 months old today.
Yes, ma'am.
That is just the coolest.
Very good.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You know what? I am constantly so proud of our teams. We have good people working here. Council, thank you so much for your efforts and your work. It's really appreciated. At this time, I don't believe there are any other agenda items. We will not be adjourning into executive session tonight. As I realized in visiting with legal counsel, it didn't quite qualify. So we'll have to address it a different way because it doesn't qualify for executive session. So the good news is it's 9:24, and I would stand for a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank you.
The one that was for the executive.